folks want it. You think they're undaunted in the desert? Think again. Game 2 coming.
The following is an exclusive presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
Back we go to the desert, where the oasis has been found by the New York Mets. No parched throats here for a team that has all the reason to feel the heat. Game 1, the Fonz provided the early quencher. So did John Olerud. And by 4-4 in the ninth, they had cooled down the big unit. Bases juiced. So was Edgardo Alfonzo. Rip to left. Will it stay fair? Back it goes. It's gone. A grand slam. They are the amazing Mets once again. So now the heat is on the Diamondbacks. One more false move and they know the odds of returning home are thornier than the largest saguaro. All eyes are upon Game 2. Welcome back in the wee hours of the morning, perhaps, or in prime time out west, but we've got a prime time game. The roof open again at the Bob for Game 2 of the National League Divisional Series between the New York Mets and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. So glad you could be with us. The joint jumping again, and now a little urgency here because the story of October, the New York Mets, continues. Left for dead at the end of September. The Mets now 5 for 5 in October, and if you consider their playoff win against Cincinnati Monday night and their 8-4 win here last night, 18 innings of baseball, 15 innings they led, 3 of them they were tied. Point, they were never behind. They came out the aggressor. Working with me, as always, my aggressor is Ray Knight. And Ray, we saw it last night with a home run right away, first inning by Alfonzo. They came out hacking against Randy Johnson. Will they come out hacking against a normal fireballer, Todd Stottylmyre, tonight, do you think?
I don't think so, Chris. The forte of the New York Mets is getting good pitches to hit. High on-base percentage. Ricky Henderson sets that off. Todd Stottylmyre and he have had some epic battles. 3 home runs Ricky Henderson has hit. Left-handers have a tough time. He has a tough time getting left-handers out. So you have to go deep in the count. He moves that fastball in off the plate, tries to backdoor it with breaking balls. So you're going to see the Mets go deep in the count, get good balls to hit him the other way.
The Arizona Diamondbacks won 100 games, so you would figure that one loss they wouldn't panic. From July 20th on, they went 51-17, an incredible 750 clip. But once they passed the Giants, even though the Giants were nipping at their heels till the middle of September, they didn't have a, quote, must-win. Buck Martinez is on the field, and Buck, this is their first must-win game, maybe of this magnitude, certainly all year long. Do you sense anything different in the D-backs tonight that we did not see last night?
Not a thing, Chris. The D-backs have been professional all year long, and they've had some rough spells. You remember a road trip back to Cincinnati and St. Louis. They had a couple of real tough late-inning losses, but this is a character ball club. The Mets have played playoff atmosphere type of baseball now for about a week, and you could see that last night. Maybe the Diamondbacks were a little bit excited about their first playoff game. They've got that game under their belt, and it's very important because going against Kenny Rogers tonight, you have to have a good approach. You've got to be patient and try to take him the other way. If they try to pull him, they'll play right into his hand and hit a lot of ground balls.
All right, Buck, thank you. Rogers has made 12 starts as a New York Mets since coming over from Oakland. They are 10-2 in his starts. So, Todd Stottylmyre, his mission, should he choose to accept it, quiet down the Messieurs October of Alfonzo, Olerud and company. Mets Diamondbacks Game 2 coming up.
ESPN's coverage of the divisional playoffs is brought to you by Claritin and by Conseco.
Roof was closed during batting practice. It's open now where the balls flew out here last night, more often for the New York Mets. Bobby Valentine's team perfect in October, and here is his lineup tonight. Our Pepsi lineup and a couple of changes, although at the beginning, you know that Ricky Henderson is going to lead off and play left field. Edgardo Alfonzo, 8 RBIs come Monday and Tuesday combined, hitting second. John Olerud hitting third. Mike Piazza hitting cleanup. Robin Ventura Highway moves up to 5th in the order. Darrell Hamilton in center field for Dunston, that's 6th. Roger Cedeno in right field for Agbayani, who started last night hitting 7th. Ray Ordonez, the shortstop. Kenny Rogers, the gambler, hitting 9th against the right-hander, who eschewed surgery this year for rotator cuff, a partial tear, Todd Stottylmyre. It's an amazing story that he's even on the mound, and he is a gamer making his 15th postseason appearance, Ray.
Yeah, he is. He has a fastball, a curveball, slider, changeup. Talking to the Arizona Diamondbacks about him, they said that he's a great gamer. Actually, when he went to have his shoulder checked, he flew after having it checked. Saw Dr. Yoakum, who told him I can't guarantee if we operate that you're going to ever get to pitch again. He went and flew and joined his team for 3 or 4 days and said, I just don't want to be away from this. It's a special situation, and let's get going. So he got back out there.
And here he is. I mean, it's an amazing, he built up muscles around his rotator cuff and his legs so that he would take the wear and tear off. And when they say a partial tear of the rotator cuff as he faces Ricky Henderson, who hits it to right field, but drawing a beat on it is Bernard Gilkey. There's one out. We'll give you the defense in a minute, but let's finish the Stottylmyre story so we lay it out clear. Ray, a partial tear in his case was 3/4 tear.
Yeah.
But yet he says, I'm 34 years old. I might never really come back. And so I'm going to take this gamble. And when he came back on August 20th after injuring it on May 17th against San Francisco, it was a loss against Pittsburgh, but it was a win for him and for the team. And you've known him a long time.
I sure have.
He is as big a battler as they come, and that kind of underscores the way that he's back on the mound. But he's got a battle on his hands right here with Edgardo Alfonzo. 2 home runs last night. Saw the win the first, grand slam in the 9th. 5 RBIs against these Diamondbacks yesterday. But we just admire Stottylmyre even being out there and pitching well. But as we watch tonight, he won't have the velocity probably that we've grown accustomed to seeing him throughout his career.
What he has is a heart as big as this ballpark. No one that I've been around, I've known Todd since he was probably 17, 18 years old when his dad was a pitching coach with the Mets when I played with him over there. And the man has always been a tremendous worker, great work ethic. But you see there, 92 miles an hour is about where he is, 89 to 92. Sometimes he'll get up to 93, 94 when he has that adrenaline flowing. He's one of those guys that's very hyperactive in his mind. And sometimes it's hard for him to settle down.
There's a breaking ball that up top to Alfonzo. It's 2-2.
But you're going to see the big thing with him is he works up, north, south, with his fastball, east and west with his fastball, a big curveball, a slider that is his favorite pitch to throw, then a changeup. Very difficult to set on any pitch. He'll throw any pitch in any count.
Ground ball to Jay Bell. Over to Greg Colburn at first base, and the 2 out. And for the first time in 3 games, Edgardo Alfonzo did not hit a home run in the first inning. A couple of changes tonight defensively for the Diamondbacks. Womack goes to short, Ray.
Yeah, Buck Showalter talked to us about that. This is his 19th game at shortstop. He's done a great job there. Very difficult for a corner outfielder to go to that spot. I have not seen that very often. And in my lifetime, where a guy that plays on the corner moves in and plays such a special position like shortstop, has done a great job, the great range, an infielder with the Pirates, second baseman. But Buck Showalter says that he is one reason, because of his willingness to go to another position, this ball club is so successful.
John Olerud is up. Olerud 3 for 5 last night, 2 for 5 against the Reds Monday night. So 5 hits in these postseason games for him so far. The other changes that you saw, it's a righty-lefty platoon. So Greg Colburn is at first base, not Rubio Durazo, despite the fact that Durazo hit an opposite field home run. So Colburn is at first. And with Womack at short, Gilkey goes to right, and Hanley Frias, last night's shortstop, sits. So those are the changes that you have. Meanwhile, pitching for the Mets, man that came over in late July, Kenny Rogers, hoping to get what, well, his pitching staff has gotten the last few games. Runs to work with. Olerud fouls it back, and now the count is 3-2.
Talking to John Olerud, as you look at last night's pitcher, Yoshi, John Olerud said that when he faced Todd Stottylmyre the last time, Todd threw him all fastball away, and then back to 3-2 would throw changeups away. So let's see what he does here. Comes right in with a fastball. And that's what John said. You know, I don't know if he's going to change. He got me out successfully away. I'm going to go up there looking away and make him make the adjustment because I think I can hit the ball the opposite way off of him. Mentioned earlier, 312 this year left-handed hitters off of Todd Stottylmyre. Right-handers only 235. So a marked difference between the left-handers and the right-handers. Todd just does not feel that he has an out pitch for those left-handed hitters.
So that'll bring up Mike Piazza, who when the Mets were going badly was really the one big bat. Those games against Atlanta, he was hitting home runs. But now that the other Mets bats, Ventura, Olerud, Alfonso, have jumped to attention here in October, Mike struggling a little. Yesterday, Mike was 1 for 5. And in the playoff on Monday against the Cincinnati Reds, he was 0 for 2. So 1 for 7 in these postseason games thus far. And I know it's a regular season game, really. Let's just, for our purposes, call it postseason. Here's a strike from Stottylmyre. It's 1-1.
Well, I talked to him tonight 15 minutes before the ball game, Chris, and he said that he's been pulling the ball too much tonight. He's going to try to hit the ball to right center field. So let's look for that. Let's see if he drives the ball the other way.
He does not. Ground ball that's gobbled up at short by Womack. The flip to Bell on an uneventful first inning for the New York Mets for the first time this week. We head to the bottom of the first here in Phoenix with the Diamondbacks coming to bat. Bottom of the first, nothing doing for the Mets. The Diamondbacks getting ready to bat here in Phoenix. Chris Berman, Ray Knight, and Buck Martinez. And welcome to those of you that just may be joining us who watched the Cleveland Indians on a one-out base hit in the bottom of the ninth for Travis Fryman. Beat the Red Sox 3-2, and Pedro Martinez had to leave with the lead with a back strain in the middle innings. So the Indians doing something they rarely do, winning a first game of a postseason series, and they win that in game 2 will be tomorrow at the J. Our Pepsi Diamondback lineup sent out by Buck Showalter has Tony Womack leading off, but at shortstop tonight, Jay Bell at second base. Luis Gonzalez hit the ball real well last night. Home run double. Then we had, he just hit the ball real well with 2 base hits. Matt Williams over last night, looking to get going in the cleanup spot. Greg Colburn is the first baseman, hitting 5th. Steve Dorsal Finley in center field. Bernard Innocent until proven guilty. The one-time Met is in right. Kelly Stinnett is the catcher. Todd Stottylmyre hits 9th. Going up against the Gambler, the left-hander for the New York Mets, acquired in a midseason trade with the Oakland A's, Kenny Rogers, who has a New York Met Ray 5-1.
Done a great job after being acquired from Oakland. 34 years old. You'll see that he throws a lot of pitches away. Lives on the outside part of the plate. Fastball that runs into left-handed hitters, away from right-handers. Very tough on right-handed hitters. A sinker, a straight changeup out there that I think that is his best pitch. And then generally late in the ball game, we'll start using a big, slow curveball in on the hands of right-handed hitters.
You saw his combined record, 5 wins with Oakland and 5 wins with the Mets equals 10-4. And here he is with the Mets. And as we mentioned in the open, Ray, 12 starts for the Mets, 2 of them complete games. The Mets were 10-2 in the 12 starts that he had. So down the stretch, the pitchers the Mets have, Reed and Leiter, going in 3 and 4, who pitched the best for them at the very end. But Rogers has been real solid since he came over from Oakland, and they usually win. 1-2 to count to the Major League base leading and Major League leader in stolen bases, Tony Womack. But it won't matter here. He is struck out.
And one thing that I noticed last night about the Diamondbacks, except for Gonzalez, nobody swung at the pitches that are their pitches. Matty Williams swung at a lot of those split fingers out in front. Here, this pitch is not even close. You're just trying to make contact. This ball's a good 12, 14 inches outside. You know that Kenny Rogers can't throw the ball by you. When he does throw the ball inside, it's generally for effect to try to make him more effective away. So right there, just a bad at bat. And again, Arizona, I think, is just still a little geared up. Something has to happen here to slow the game down for them.
High and tight to Jay Bell, ball 1. Bell, one of 4 All-Stars on this Arizona Diamondback club.
And Chris, as our colleague Buck Martinez said, earlier tonight, this is a type of pitcher that if you try to pull him, he will wear you out. Last year led all of baseball in ground ball double plays induced. Dead ground ball pitcher. And that's what happens. He'll pull the string on that changeup, and you can't do anything with him. Not unlike Tom Glavine, Denny Nagel. Very similar to those guys. Glavine a little bit more of a cutter inside. Fastball, changeup away, big curveball in.
Talked with Jay Bell for a while before the game, Ray, and he said, you talk about patience with the Mets players. We have to be patient because he's going to nibble, as you say, and we really have to think singles against him, not home runs.
Look at the catcher setting up outside, and he's just threading the needle out there, and Jay Bell. One thing that I've noticed about this Arizona ball club, Jay Bell later on in his career, they come over the top of the ball a little bit, meaning they pull the ball. You see the bat barrel way out in front of the ball, top hand, not inside outing the ball. You've got to stay inside of this baseball in order to hit him solidly.
Chopper. Oh, what a play by Ventura. And he throws him out. Robin Ventura, who's won Gold Gloves at third base, as Matt Williams has, just showed why. Talk about this infield defense. Ray, what a play.
Well, this is Brooks Robinson. This reminds me of the play that Brooks Robinson made in Cincinnati. The same exact play. That was on AstroTurf, but a ball Lee May hit foul into foul territory. Great play there by Robin Ventura, a guy that does not run well, probably the slowest guy on the field, but great lateral quickness.
And you saw a good call at first by Mark Hirschbeck because the throw did beat him, no question. So Luis Gonzalez, who of the big guys, of the 100 RBI guys last night, was by far and away the one swinging the bat the best, Ray. Last night, Gonzalez with a home run.
Well, he has a great idea. 327 against left-handers. Only a 10-point drop-off when you go to the left side, and that's really consistently. Pulls the ball when there's a right-handed pitcher out there, hits the ball the opposite way with the left.
Last night, his home run went to right, his double went to right center field, and we talked to him about it before the game, about his stance, you and I, Ray, and that open stance. But look at the back foot. We'll explain in a moment. He says, I'm normally a lunger, but he found something in the offseason that if I point the back foot a little bit more toward the pitcher, I don't lunge as much. And boy, he lunged his way to a 30-game hitting streak at one point this year.
What it does, it sets that weight up on the inside part of that back knee and allows him to stay back there longer and float to the ball as opposed to driving off of that back leg or pushing off of it, which carries his hands forward.
Defensively, the Mets, who would allow by far and away the least unearned runs of anyone, and this is as good as they come in the infield, right?
Well, Ventura, Ordonez, and Alfonso all lead the league in their respective positions, and behind Rogers being the ground ball pitcher that he is, it's really important. It doesn't surprise me that he has a 5-1 record, because he just, talking about playing into your defense, he's the type of pitcher that just really works his defense well. Only one unearned run behind him this year, and as a New York Met. Has a great move at first base, very difficult to steal on. Although we talked to Tony Womack, we'll get back into that next time Womack is up there.
Well, this is Matt Williams with 142 RBIs, a career high for him, but last night, the collar. Every time he came up this year, there was somebody at second base. He had one occasion like that last night and didn't deliver. Here, Gonzalez is at first base. Williams with 35 home runs this year, a 303 average, which was the highest of his career. And this year, Matt passed the 300 mark in home runs, the 1,000 mark in RBIs, and the 1,500 mark in hits. So those are three great milestones to accumulate in one season.
Matty's always been a great run producer. What he does, he's a great mistake hitter. He does not miss balls that people throw fat. Sometimes hitters foul those pitches off. Matt Williams hits them out there hard somewhere. In there for a strike. some pitchers lose a little bit of command and velocity with their slide step or out of the stretch. Kenny Rogers, to me, has better movement out of the stretch than he does when he winds up.
Chopper that Rogers will handle himself. So an uneventful first inning for the Diamondbacks as well. Gonzalez stranded. We've played one. No score. Top of the second, no score. Each team with a walk with 2 outs and couldn't do anything with it. So now Robin Ventura. How often do you see it, Ray? You sparkle in the field, you lead off. Another ground ball induced by Todd Stottylmyre. 1 up, 1 down. Bell over to Colgren. And here's that play that Robin Ventura made to Rob J. Bell.
4 steps and 2 more steps throwing over the top. Perfect accuracy there. The ball bounding upward as opposed to scooting on AstroTurf. Very difficult play, and I've only seen one other guy make that way, and that was Brooks Robinson. Yes, sir.
That was reminiscent of those plays that he made against the Orioles. I mean, against the Big Red Machine. This is Darrell Hamilton. Since he came over in a midseason trade from Colorado, one of many engineered by general manager Steve Phillips. He's had a great second half for the New York Mets. Hammy, as a Met, hit .339 with 5 homers and 21 RBIs, and he's trying to become the latter-day Lonnie Smith. Remember, in the early 90s, it seemed like every team Lonnie Smith played for, they were in it. Phillies, Atlanta. Hamilton, who was the starting center fielder for the Texas Rangers in '96 when they won their first ever AL West. Starting center fielder for the Giants when the Rangers in the AL West. The Giants winning the NL West in 1997. Then here he is with the Mets in the postseason, so he's becoming a good luck charm. I want Darrell Hamilton in the playoffs.
Well, and the reason for that is, Chris, although he's never been a superstar, he's a man that does a lot of things well, very quietly. He doesn't make mistakes. He just catches every ball he's supposed to, makes good throws to cut off men, bunts, runs the bases well, and that's the kind of person you want, just a solidifier down the stretch.
Well, you talked about being patient, and the Mets are doing just that. At the second base on balls, they have worked off of Todd Stottylmyre. Valentine said, well, we average 3 points. He knew the number, 3.7 or 3.8 pitches per batter, which that's been one of the trademarks of the New York Yankees, as good as they've been in winning in '96, and of course last year. Their professionalism and patience at the plate. All the more reason to be patient against Stottylmyre, because coming off the injury, although Todd is a gamer and he will give it everything tonight, they can get the pitch count up early, then they get into the bullpen earlier. Because you just don't think Stottylmyre, barring a low pitch game, Ray, will go 8 or 9 innings. He just may not be capable, although the heart certainly is willing. This is Roger Cedeno, and the 0-1 pitch is weakly swung on, and it's 0-2.
Well, on that point there, Buck Showalter said that the New York Mets would dictate how far Stottylmyre goes in this game, meaning that there are no limitations. If he's pitching well, he'll be out there. And, the weakness or the spot in this ball club, on this ball club, for the Diamondbacks is that middle relief.
He will keep an eye on Darrell Hamilton. Let's bring Buck Martinez in, Ray. And Buck, you've seen Todd Stottylmyre certainly in his years with Toronto, and then drawing even last year with Texas and St. Louis. What have you seen in his motion? Is he favoring anything? Is he working differently? What do you see so far? Wait, we'll pick it up after this pitch.
Chris, his delivery is perfect. Everything looks fine, and he told me he could do everything he did before the injury. The thing I'm noticing right now is the way he's cool and calm out there, and it's a sign of maturity. Plus, Ray, you know very well that when players have baseball taken away from them because of an injury, they have a tendency to appreciate it more, and I think he really appreciates the opportunity to get back on the mound.
Pitch out, and Hamilton is not going.
There's no doubt about it. Todd Stottylmyre, as we talked about earlier, is a guy that has always loved this game, came up in this game with his father, his brother also a pitcher, and he has great reverence for the game, great respect for it, and loves the game. A guy that's never played for the money, goes out, and every manager he's ever played for has just raved about this guy's professionalism and wish that they had 25 players like him.
There goes Hamilton, swung on and foul back. We'll do it again. We talked with Todd Stottylmyre about his very gut-wrenching decision. About to be 34. Do you go with the surgery? But, gee, it could be 6 months, could be 12 months. And I'm going to talk to him and let you know what he said about it. It was, very tough. Because you don't know how you're going to come back. But then again, you don't know if here's a team that's obviously going places. And he wants the pitch. Here he goes again, and a little chopper, and that's going to be foul. Well, we talked about, here's what Stottylmyre had to say about the decision not to undergo surgery.
The toughest part is I've not that I've changed my mechanics, but I've worked real hard at staying back a little longer, trying not to fly open and put extra stress on my arm. I'm really trying to use my legs and midsection more, and because of that, I think the day after I start, I feel a little older than I did the day before.
A little older the day after. You know what? We all do. And you know what else? We're all day to day. Every one of us.
The thing that amazes me about Todd is that he lifted weights like a football player. He gained 15 pounds of muscle in his lower back, in his traps, in his legs.
We'll do it again. Well, the Mets in this at bat alone by Cedeno, wearing him out.
Well, Cedeno struck out 100 times this season. The only two Mets to do that were Ventura and Cedeno. Ventura 109 strikeouts. This ball club makes contact. This will be the 8th pitch to Cedeno, and as you talked about, the more pitches you force him to throw early in the game, the shorter his outing is going to be.
30th pitch of the night already, Ray, and there's one out in the second inning. Ripped up the middle off of Stottylmyre. Belder went to cover, cannot recover, and all hands are safe. So Cedeno fouled it off, and now is a base hit, and the Mets have 2 on with 1 out for Ordonez.
Well, he goes with a slider, trying to get in on his hands. Got the ball out over the plate. The ball hit him right on the wrist. Ball bounds out there, barely worked itself out there on the dirt. No play for Jay Bell. But you can see the rotation of that slider trying to get in on the hands of Cedeno and left it out over the plate. And when the ball's out over the plate, a lot of those balls go back up the middle.
Well, you can bet that Todd Stottylmyre is not coming out of this game because he got hit by a baseball. Unless there's a bone sticking out, you're going to have to drag him out of here. He's looking at his hand, but has nothing to do with his pitching, and he's a little more aggravated that he didn't make the play than the fact that he got hit on the hand.
Yeah, he's a tough man. I remember the Charlie Hayes attack at second base, and knowing Todd, I think he'd have liked to have had round 2 on that deal. But he's a tough hombre, and truly amazing. I started to tell that story about hurting his shoulder on a Tuesday, flying out Wednesday to get it checked out, then joining the team all the way across the country in New York, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just to be a part of the ball club. That tells you a little about his integrity and his character and his devotion to this club.
Ray Ordonez looked at strike 1, taking a long look at the third base coach. Cookie, days of wine and Rojas for the sign. Hamilton, the runner at second base. Cedeno was at first. No score, top of the second.
Matty Williams just challenging Ordonez there. You probably would not bunt here with 1 out and a pitcher on deck, but certainly there's a base hit down that third baseline if he chooses to. Matty Williams playing back deep, trying to knock the ball down or at least turn a double play. But look how deep he is there, and look how far he is off the line. This tells me that Stottylmyre is going to look at that depth. I mean, that's way deep. He can't even get to a ball that if it's a swing and bunt, there's no way they can make that play.
1-1 pitch in there for a strike. 1-2. Plate umpire tonight is Wally Bell. Mark Hirschbeck is at first. Dana DeMuth at second. Randy Marsh is at third. Paul Schreiber is in left, and Brian Gorman is in right field. Behind the plate, calling the balls and strikes.
Everybody swung around to right field. Right fielder Gilkey very shallow. The shortstop playing up the middle like a left-handed pull hitter.
Strike 3 call. Fastball up and in the outside corner, and Ordonez obviously looking for something else, Ray.
Yeah, that's what Todd Stottylmyre will do. He has the 4 pitches, and if you get you thinking up there, you're dead meat. Fastball out over the plate, running back in. No chance there for Ordonez after the slider, but look how he just threads the needle on the outside part of the plate. Right there, Stinnett just sets Stinnett setting it up, getting the call. But he worked him beautifully. Fastball in, then slider, short, down in front of the plate, then just took him out with the fastball.
Bring up Kenny Rogers, who was 3 for 25, which is a 120 batting average with no extra base hits. Had an RBI this year. Of course, for years and years and years, Oakland and Texas and the Yankees and the American League. So not a lot of plate appearances. He does have a postseason base hit. He started Game 4, that pivotal Game 4 of the '96 World Series for the Yankees. Got a hit against Atlanta. Now, he was long gone by the time Leyritz hit that homer off Wallers, but he started against Nagel in the key game of that World Series. Didn't pitch well, but got a hit, so file that away. Count is 1-2, and Stottylmyre 1 pitch away from getting out of an inning in which 2 minutes have reached.
Well, you've got the left fielder now moving toward the left field line. Center fielder shading left center very strongly, very shallow. So I would think Stottylmyre would go into the teeth of the defense and pitch him away.
Struck him out. So Stottylmyre with 2 aboard strikes out the number 8 and 9 hitters, and the crowd is on its feet here at the Bob. Heading to the bottom of the second, no score. No score, bottom of the second. Chris Berman, Ray Knight, Buck Martinez. Glad you could be with us here late this evening here in Phoenix. 2 games tomorrow on Thursday. Red Sox and Indians, Game 2 from the Jake at 4 Eastern time. That'll be John and Joe on that call on ESPN. Hope you can join us then. Then Fox has the Rangers at the Yankees for Game 2. Andy Pettit going to that Game 4 New York at 8 Eastern and 5 in the Pacific. So just 2 games on Thursday, and again 4 and 8 on Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, maybe there'll be 4 games each day for you baseball fans. That'll be wonderful. Kenny Rogers pitching against Greg Colburn. Colburn this year in platooning with Rubio Durazo. 5 home runs, 24 RBIs, a .326 average, so they were a great platoon. And against the lefties, he hits .361. Against righties, .237. Part of the reason why there's a lefty in there. Maybe I'll play him tonight. And there's the Mexican sensation Durazo, who sparkled last night with a home run. Colburn has been around.
Colburn likes to pull the ball. With 2 strikes, he goes the other way, but he actually dives to the ball and has a lot of outside plate coverage. So it doesn't surprise me if he hits the ball very hard, center field, left center field. They're playing him straight away in the outfield. Talking to him before the game, he said you cannot try to pull Kenny Rogers because that's not really into Colburn's strength. He likes to pull the ball.
Well, it goes the other way here, and it's going to plunk in for a base hit. Cedeno over, but Colburn in for a double. So away, away, away. The patient Diamondbacks have their first runner in scoring position tonight.
Well, I like that. He talked about going the other way, and he does here. Actually, this is a changeup. He hits off the end of the bat. You see it there. I don't know that he was planning on going that way, but obviously his bat laid off a little bit, letting the ball get back to him. And if he is trying to pull that ball, he hits it, doesn't make contact. He mixes it off the end of the bat because he'll swing before the ball gets to him. But now he's set up a nice situation here, runner on second base. Finley, who is outstanding handler of the bat, can bunt, pull the ball. In this situation where you do what you do best. If you can pull the ball and get the guy over, you do it. But if you know you can't pull the ball to get him over, you bunt him over. With 103 RBI over the course of the season, 34 home runs, I don't know that he'll be bunting this early in the ballgame.
Finley 1 for 3 last night. Breaking ball is up top. It's only the second time in these 2 games, Ray, that a leadoff batter has reached for the Diamondbacks. Bell singled in the 6th yesterday and scored on Gonzalez's home run. So maybe there's an omen for it. course, of the National League West champion Padres last year. His 11th season. Came up a long time ago.
Robin Ventura. Yeah, it does. Robin Ventura very tight there, respecting the bunt situation.
He tried to bunt it. So here's a guy that 103 RBIs, 34 homers, as you mentioned, tries to lay down the bunt.
You've also mentioned that the Mets have not trailed. I think the Diamondbacks are thinking about that a little bit. You get that run posted on the board, it takes a little bit of that pressure off of that pressure cooker. It loosens the cap a little bit, lets off a little bit of that steam. Now he just has to battle here to make contact. Infield back. Expect him to swing the bat with 2 strikes, as I'm sure he will. But now you just have to battle, try to make some type of contact.
Which he does, and he gets it foul.
This is almost when you play Pepper. Buck was outstanding at that as a right-handed hitter. You get 2 strikes with a runner on second base, and you just work the count, work the count, work the count, foul the ball off, but you just cannot leave there not running. Meaning you can't strike out. You've got to put the ball in play, preferably on the ground. Even though this defense is airtight, try to create something out there to make a mistake.
Swings through the fastball that might have been high and outside. So after he got himself in the hole with the foul bunt, Finley strikes out. So 1 out, and that'll bring up the one-time Met, although more notable as a St. Louis Cardinal, Bernard Innocent, until proven guilty. Guilty in the platoon system here. Guilty this year at 294. He's a lifetime 279. Came over from the Mets in the middle of the year in '98. In trade for a pair of players, Willie Blair and George Fabregas. Hit to left field. The crowd gives it a rise, but it's straight away left, and Ricky Henderson is under it. 2 down. And now Kelly Stinnett, the catcher, will come on.
Well, he just missed that ball. That's a hanging breaking ball. Guilty of outstanding right-handed batter. I want you to look at this swing here. I mean, this is a breaking ball just a little bit out front there. Very strong swing. Did not really get out in front with his body. Just caught the ball with the break going down. He knows it. That was a home run type swing there. And the movement of that breaking ball down got the ball down off the end of the bat.
Stinnett was 0 for 3 last night. Looks at the ball. Stinnett was a Met from '94 to '95. Told you last night was hurt very early this year. 4th game of the year. Ryan Klesko plowed into him to the plate. Pretty much hurt all the year. But Damian Miller with a nice platooning catch. Hits it well to center field. But Darrell Hamilton is there, always getting a strong jump on the ball, and that was no adventure. 2 innings, no score. Here comes the Fonz.
ESPN's coverage of the divisional playoffs is brought to you by Circuit City. Answers in every department, low prices all over the store.
No score here as we head to the top of the 3rd inning. Todd Stottylmyre facing Ricky Henderson and Buck Martinez. Mechanics. A question for Todd Stottylmyre tonight.
Well, Chris, anytime you injure your arm, you're going to worry about mechanics. And take a look at Todd's delivery here. He's got perfect mechanics as he stays balanced and he gets out over that front leg to drive perfectly. Good shoulder drive, and you see how the hand finishes on top of the ball. That's picture-perfect mechanics for Todd Stottylmyre coming back from a serious shoulder injury.
Ricky Henderson takes ball 1. See, I got all excited. Buck said he was going to talk about his mechanics. I saw Todd drive into the park today, and his car seemed to be running well. I thought he was talking about his car mechanics. I was wondering, how they got the car all tuned up so nicely. But I guess it is a baseball game. He was trying to pick up some tips on the summer. Count is 1-1 to Ricky, who flew out to right field in the 1st inning. Ricky 0 for 2 last night, but 2 walks, 2 runs scored. So he's such a danger even if he isn't hitting.
Well, he's 10 for 37 in his career. We're hitting .370 with 3 home runs against Todd. And he said that one thing that he feels is that Stottylmyre, especially with no one out as we are in this situation, does not want to put him on base because he knows that he can throw a triple there. He's still second to third.
He ripped this one to left field, so the all-time stolen base leader is aboard. Henderson, a leadoff hit here in the third, and that'll bring up the postseason man of the moment, the thus far this year Mr. October, at least for the Mets, Edgardo Alfonzo, who last night, Ray, became the 6th player to hit 2 homers in his first postseason game. The others, Junior Griffey, Gary Gaetti, Chipper Jones, Ted Kluszewski, and B.J. Surhoff. He also became the first player to hit a grand slam in his first career postseason game. So normally you say nowhere to go but up. The Mets just hope he continues on this up.
Well, Ricky Henderson doing exactly what he's done his whole career against Stottylmyre, getting into 2-1, then Stottylmyre throwing the slider and the breaking ball to every other hitter when he's behind in the count, to a fastball to Ricky. Ricky hits a bullet to left field. So Stottylmyre pitches Ricky Henderson a little bit different because of his respect of his speed on the bases.
So we read you all the numbers last night. For Ricky Henderson, 1,334 stolen bases. Brock second at 938. Almost 400 more than the second man all time. Unbelievable. 37 this year. Of course, his 2 steals last night. He has 27 career postseason stolen bases in 45 games. He's a menace. And there all is where he stands up there and walks and runs. I mean, we read all the names last night. Says he wants to play. He's going to have 3,000 hits. Going to have 300 home runs to go along with everything else. And there he goes. A good pitch to try and throw him out on, but you're trying to throw out Ricky Henderson. It's a high fastball, but Henderson is in with his 3rd stolen base here in the 2 games.
Well, you call him a menace. I call him the most disruptive force in the game of baseball, not just today, but all time. He just always has that walking lead where he moves that right foot ever so slowly and then accelerates, gets a walking lead there. Pretty good throw inside of there, but as you mentioned, no chance. And again, you better watch out right here. If you're not holding him close, Jay Bell way off. The shortstop's got responsibility, thinking Alfonso's going to hit the ball the other way, which he should. Now this is really interesting here. Alfonso, both of his home runs last night to the left side of second base, but Womack with cover responsibility. So they're thinking that 3rd inning, Alfonso's going to try to hit the ball the opposite way in order to get Ricky Henderson advanced to 3rd base.
1-1 the count. Oh, we just got away from it. It certainly went a fastball. It's a breaking ball, but the crowd actually says, hey, you dumped him, but that was not the intent on that play. Although Stottylmyre has been known to work a little inside. That was not that situation.
Let me tell you, I don't know if that was a breaking ball or not. I just know that Alfonso has hit it, but we're going to see right here if this is a breaking ball. I think it's a fastball he was running in. Yes, absolutely. And I think that they have to get Alfonso off the plate, make him move his feet. First base is open.
Well, he drills this to right field. Gilkey is back, makes the catch. Henderson will tag and go to 3rd. So he did go the other way. Didn't quite get it down there to where Gilkey could not make a play. And now the Mets have a go-ahead run, or potential the first run to be scored in this game, 90 feet away.
Well, Chris, right here, one thing that happens is we see the play and the tag up at second base with a hitter. Once you bust him in, very few people will repeat that pitch inside. They generally bust you in and go away again. And that Alfonso, with a great hitter that he is, he sloughed off that pitch inside, looked away. That's where he threw it, and he hit it to right field.
In there for a strike to John Olerud. Olerud walked and was erased on a fielder's choice in the first inning. 3 for 5 last night, 2 for 5 on Monday night. It's inside, hacked away. So now Stottylmyre ahead on the count 0-2.
Now you're going to see a great battle here. Olerud 5 for 12, 417 as you see their lifetime against Stottylmyre. Stottylmyre now has actually 3 pitches that he can make. The slider in off of him, the changeup away, fastball up. There he goes, fastball up and away. With Olerud's patience at the plate and ability to get a good ball to hit, Chris, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him work this count to 3-2.
Little chopper Henderson coming home. He will score while Womack throws out Olerud, but the Mets are on the board. So 3 times they had a leadoff man reach base yesterday. They all scored. Leadoff man reaches here in the 3rd inning. He scores, and once again, the Mets have the lead.
Yeah, that's what you call Ricky right here going on ground ball contact. He really waited till the ball got to the pitcher there, so he was not in that ground ball contact mode there. He was making sure the ball goes by the pitcher in order to get Piazza also a chance to drive in a run. A lot of times with 1 out, runner on 3rd base, you will be in that, you're going on ground ball contact. Ricky, as you saw there, got the lead, stutter stepped, and went when he saw the ball by the pitcher.
Fastball away to Piazza. 1-1. Fielder's choice in the 1st. Ricky with the stolen base. He steals the bases. He scores. He's been aboard 3 times in these 2 games. Ray scored all 3 times.
Well, this is what type of ball club this team is. I mean, he gets a single. He steals second base. The number 2 hitter who hit 2 home runs, drove in 5 runs last night, hits a ball to right field, gets him to 3rd base, and then the 3-hole hitter just makes some contact up the middle by the pitcher and gets a run in.
Yes, he went 2-2.
And Mike Piazza continues to spin off the ball. He told me today he knows that he's doing it. When he generally is doing that, he spreads his stance out very wide and tries to hit the ball the other way.
Doesn't offer at that one, and the count is full with Ventura on deck. Payoff pitch. Strike 3. Strikeout number 3 for Stottylmyre, but the Mets have scored. Heading to the bottom of the 3rd. 1-0 New York. Welcome back to the Bob Game 2 of the Division Series. The Mets won and the Diamondbacks nothing. And Ray, you know, Monday night, Tuesday night, and now here we are in the middle of the 3rd inning. The Mets, they've never trailed in any of these must-wins. I know 1-0 is not a big lead, but yet it just is different for their pitchers. It also says about the job the pitchers have done to not give up anything.
It does. Defensively pitching, getting guys over, doing things fundamentally. And when you're in the lead, it takes pressure off of you. It takes pressure off of you. I'm telling you, there's some people that believe that it's a lot better to be the hunted than the hunter. I don't, the hunter instead of the huntee, I don't believe that. I think you get a lead and it's tough to catch up.
Well, Leiter certainly was great on Monday night, and he just shut out the Reds with a 2-hitter. Complete game. The 5th complete game the Mets have had, because that's a regular season game. 2 of the complete games of the 5 this year by the Mets by the man on the mound. Kenny Rogers, of course, was only a Met starting late July.
Well, Todd Stottylmyre has a little idea how to hit. Swings the bat well. Another great athlete. The only athlete, really non-athlete on the pitching staff.
I know what you're going to say is Randy.
Right.
And, you know, in one of the many big moments last night, Randy Johnson hit that double, but then forgot how many outs there were. And not only did it take his team out of, you know, a chance to maybe score the go-ahead run, which they may or may not have, but you know he was thinking about it on the mound in the 9th inning, and then all of a sudden the bases were loaded. Don't you think it affected both players?
That was a crucial play. We didn't talk about it enough, I didn't think. The situation there with Jay Bell up, left-handed pitcher on the mound, and Cook, runner on second base. I mean, you've got to make a decision whether Wendell was hot in the bullpen. So Bobby had to make a decision whether to pitch to Jay Bell with a left-hander, Dennis Cook, or bring in the right-hander Wendell. If he makes that decision, then Gonzalez is there staring at you in the hole. So whole different ballgame when it was a double play.
Tony Womack struck out to lead off the 1st inning. Womack won the Major League stolen base title this year. The man who was second most in stolen bases, Roger Cedeno, playing for the Mets tonight. And the all-time stolen base leader, of course, Ricky Henderson is here. So we got some guys that know a little about. Ventura in on the grass. In case Womack wants to drop it down, but he takes this pitch inside for ball, 2-1.
Well, he's going to have to stop trying to pull this pitch. Last time he looked awful with on that breaking ball, and there's no reason why Kenny goes to anything different.
Now he tries to push the bump, and it's foul. So twice the Diamondbacks with one strike have tried to bunt, and twice they fouled it off.
If you watch Kenny Rogers, when he throws that fastball, seldom is it anywhere on the fat part of the plate. It's either down, borderline strike zone, or off the plate away. Either a ball off the plate, just nipping the outside corner. He has great control, and when he has command of that fastball and changeup, very difficult to hit unless you just take the whole pull side of the park out of your approach.
Well, that was the proverbial string, wasn't it, Ray? Strike 3.
Well, I mean, he's not showing me, as a professional hitter, that he can throw the ball by me. And you look how far out front. I mean, he could have swung twice before this ball got to him. Look at the great tight rotation of that breaking ball. Now, if you take that right shoulder, drive it toward the shortstop, that ball sits there for you. If you spin off that ball, you've got no chance because your bat becomes very short as your shoulder leaves the ball and goes toward the dugout, and you just can't get to the ball.
2 outs, the bases clear for Jay Bell. Bell with 38 home runs this year. As we said last night, that's only 4 off the record for most home runs hit in a single season by a second baseman. A record that, who knows, Alfonso might have one day. Here's a base hit to left. So Bell, with the second Diamondback hit of the night, is now aboard for Luis Gonzalez.
Well, he really moved up on the plate this time and drove his shoulder right to the ball. Watch how his shoulder goes right towards second base. Then he adjusts. That ball's on the outside part of the plate. But because he drives his shoulder to the ball, it brings the ball into him, and he has more plate coverage with the bat.
We start to tell you about the foot of Luis Gonzalez, and we'll watch that, how it's pointed inward, despite the fact that it's that open stance that, I don't know, Dick McAuliffe used to have a stance like this, Ray, and a couple others, but that back foot is what we were talking about, and you explained very well what it's done for him. I mean, here's a guy that hit .336 this year and led the league in hits with 206.
Well, it locks in the back side there, and it keeps him back longer. Talk about the mechanics of pitching with Todd Stottylmyre. Hitters have mechanics also. The most important part in my mind as a hitter is making sure your weight shift is not too volatile toward the pitcher, that it's a soft, almost like tiger-like reach, and then an explosion with your hands. Soft feet, fast hands. When you get those feet going too hard and charging that mound, and your hands come with you and you end up pushing the bat.
Rip but foul. Count is 2-1 now to Gonzo, as they call him. 30-game hitting streak this year, and a 16-game hitting streak, and a 13-game hitting streak. Tampa, Florida. Fouled it back. The paraphernalia.
Yeah, that paraphernalia. Very difficult to pitch to Luis Gonzalez. You wonder why he hits .330, .340. He's got so much plate coverage. We talked about last night not getting the inside pitch. But look right here. Look how close he is there to the plate. Brings that knee this way, and look where he ends up. His hands are right over the inside part of the plate there, and you just can't pitch him inside because everything in there, he closes off. The umpire calls it a ball. We saw it 3 times last night. That open stance kind of invites you to go in there, but when he closes it off, there's nowhere to go in there, and he's got that quick bat slashing on the ball inside. But as he told us tonight, against left-handed pitching, he tries to hit the ball the other way.
Who was this? Well, they're booing as if that was a chin music. That was more like a folly floater back music. The Buck Showalter will take it because now there's runners at first and second for the big fella, Matt Williams, looking for his first hit here in this postseason.
Yeah, that was that flop drop that it didn't do anything. And again, being on top of the plate has a lot to do with that because you almost have to start this ball behind him or right at him. See, that pitch is right there. It just didn't break. It was a hanging breaking ball. But believe it or not, that's where he starts that breaking ball in order for it to be a strike because of that inside part of the plate being taken away by the stance.
It's a 70-mile-an-hour floater.
And Matty Williams here needs to take a pitch.
Yes. 80 RBIs with runners in scoring position, but Matt looking for his first base hit of this postseason. The crowd knows it. They can feel it.
And the reason I say that is because he swung at the first ball 3 out of his 4 at-bats last night, and you just get a little impatient. All these at-bats, no matter how many you've had in the course of the season or how many runs you've driven in, they just become that much more important. And you've got to just settle down a little bit. The more balls you see, the more relaxed you are.
Breaking ball in there for a strike, 1-1.
So what? 1-1, 2 breaking balls, still even in the count. He hasn't lost anything. He's right where he needs to be.
Diamondbacks led the National League with runs scored last year with 908. This year, they're hoping they will get at least one in this at-bat from Williams. Maybe some more. Little chopper could be tough. It is tough. So Matt Williams, a huge RBI man, gets the old 55-foot single. And now the bases are loaded for Greg Colburn. Single hit by pitch and a little infield single, all with 2 outs. And Bobby Valentine a little tighter on the bench.
Look at this ball right here. That ball is almost on the ground there. Now that's a 2-1 count. You can't swing at that ball. That is anxiousness. That ball is almost on the ground right there, and that's what we're seeing and what we talked about last night with the Arizona hitters. These great hitters with the great histories of driving in runs tend to swing at bad balls in crucial situations.
Now here's not a big name for Arizona, Greg Colburn, but he was patient enough and plunked a double down the right field line to lead off the second inning. He was stranded there. Bell, Gonzalez, and Williams aboard.
Pinch hitters in crucial situations, meaning guys that have been on the bench all year because they're used to this, they're accustomed to this. 391 Colburn hit this year pinch hitting. His last 8 at-bats, he got 5 pinch hits, so he is accustomed to this situation.
Extra corner, 1-1.
He doesn't worry about the bases.
No.
That's pretty serious right there.
Yeah. Almost Pat Tabler-esque.
Really?
Pat always had the great bases loaded numbers. One of our favorites, Pat, pick up the Tabler. 2-1, a hitter's count. Diamondbacks looking for their first lead in the series with just a base knock.
And I'm telling you what he's going to throw. His best pitch is a changeup. He's going to throw a changeup right here, 2-1. Changeup down and away. Nope. I've been wrong tonight about 3 out of 4 times.
Third ball inside, 3-1. Look at the crowd. They're all on their feet, 49,000 plus, sensing a little excitement from the D-backs.
Now as a hitter, this is where you keyhole. You know what your pitch is. You know what pitch you can handle. You look right there in one little area, and if it's not there, you spit on it.
They'll take it any way they can get it. We're tied at 1, ball 4. started with 2 outs and the bases clear. And now Dave Wallace, pitching coach, Mike Piazza out to the mound to try and settle down Rogers before this at bat by Steve Finley. Octavio Dotel is warming up in the bullpen just in case Rogers has lost his way. Fireballer who impressed in his starting assignments, but with this series is in the bullpen. And the base is still loaded for Steve Finley, who struck out in the second inning.
This year, Steve Finley 5 for 12, 417 with a grand slam and 19 RBI.
Swung on and missed.
With the bases loaded.
Here are your base runners. Luis Gonzalez at third. Matt Williams at second. Greg Colburn is at first. Slam last night for the Mets. Won this by Alfonso in the ninth. Can Finley turn the tide? Turn the trick for the Diamondbacks. Each team had 8 grand slams this year, tying for the National League lead. 9 wouldn't be bad for Arizona's side. Not on that pitch here tonight. And Piazza's had a rough night, but it's almost like he's catching a knuckleball with all the balls bouncing off the bats. Yikes.
That's a tendency when people get out in front of the ball. Here's a breaking ball, the ball near the end of the bat. Change ups, the ball hits off the end of the bat. The ball tends to bounce right back at you. When you foul fastballs off, they usually go skyward, straight back to the backstop or maybe off your mask. For those sinkers and slow breaking balls.
Find a little more tender zone, don't they?
A little more meat, yeah.
Pitch was away. Finley went with it. So he's creeping up on 60 pitches as well, right?
Yeah, 28 innings. The first 28 pitches the first 2 innings. This inning, 28 pitches alone. And that's when you get him. The Stottylmyre loosening up, staying loose in there, is when you can make a finesse pitcher throw a lot of pitches. The more pitches he throws, it's just common sense. The more he throws, the more chances he has of making a bad pitch.
Inside, 1-2.
Well, let's see. Started him off with a curveball, went to the curveball again, then 0-2 fastball away, he fouled off. Then 1-2, he busted him in with a fastball. And again, remember what we said earlier. He throws that fastball in just for effect. He doesn't throw it for a strike. Probably going to go away with something soft again.
It's soft and it's driven to right field. Gonzalez scores. Williams being waved home. Here's the throw. Not in time. 3-1 Arizona.
And any time that you go there 3 times to the well, the first 2 breaking balls were excellent. The third one not as good. Hitter has the advantage. Gonzalez, bring it on. Matty Williams sliding in there, safe. Great throw by Roger Cedeno there from right field, making this. Let's see if he gets to the plate. His left foot actually comes up off the plate. I believe he was out. I don't think his right foot.
Well, let's look at that again from that angle.
Let's check that out again. money slide there by Matty Williams.
It was.
I mean, there's no doubt he beat the throw, but his left cleat.
It's almost like the parking brake came on before he got right into the garage.
Look at it. It bounces up off the turf. Look at it right here. There's going there. It bounces up. Misses a plate. He tags him. I'm telling you, buddy.
Well, it shouldn't have been that close. He should have been in.
Well, that front foot actually hit the dirt and bounced up over the plate. And Piazza, with the swing and tagged him before his right knee got to the plate.
Meanwhile, on the throw, Finley moves up to second base, and Colburn, of course, advancing to third. So a little looper by Gilkey could bust this to a 5-1 game. Martinez on the play at the plate. Piazza really tried to block it. Did you think he did?
No, he didn't. He has to get in front of the plate. The umpire could see white on the outside of the shin guard. If he takes that foot, another foot up the third baseline, then he blocks him off totally. Ray's assessment is right on. The leg did pop up, and he may have, in fact, been out. But because the umpire could see the plate and he saw Williams' foot hit Piazza, Mike was back over the plate instead of being up the third base line a little bit.
Ventura across to Olerud. But for the first time in the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday postseason games, the Mets are trailing 3-1. Well, now a little excitement here at the Bob. 3-1 Diamondbacks in the top of the fourth inning. There's a 3-spot. All that began with 2 out and nobody on. The Diamondbacks ended up with 8 men at the plate and their first lead. Kenny Rogers now hoping that his batsman, he just gave up. We're going to take, after Ventura, we're going to take a look at his play at the plate. We had a heated debate ourselves here between innings. I'm going to let you see it fast motion, let you see it slow motion, then we'll all vote. Impatient Mets, Ventura has quickly worked the count to 3-0. One thing the starting pitcher wants to do after his team scores multiple runs for him is go right out there and shut the opposition down. But Ventura works a base on ball. So let's look and see what Wally Bell saw at the play. Here's the hit by Finley. Gonzalez scores easily. Then watch Gonzalez say to Matty, get down, get down.
That looks safe to me there. Now that speed looks safe. Now this speed right here, watch his right knee. His leg goes up, tagged him on the leg, and his knee leg's not there yet.
I don't know. Well, you can't. I vote he was safe anyway. You think he was out? Buck, what do you think?
Well, I think Piazza could have made it a lot easier on the umpire, as I mentioned before, by just taking a step up the third baseline and then dropping his knee. Then he would have gave Wally Bell no look whatsoever at the plate. Williams would have crashed into his leg, and home plate wouldn't have been a factor. You know what? When you have a chance to cut down a run at home plate, it's just like hitting a home run. It really shoots the excitement level up for your team. Right here, you can see that Piazza didn't get that left leg far enough up the third base line to really throw down a roadblock on Big Matt Williams.
Well, here's one thing I know. It's 3-1. He should have been safe anyway, but the front, that was an odd slide. This was odd. Meanwhile, the Mets have their leadoff man aboard, Ventura. And the count is 2-1 to Darrell Hamilton. I can't believe how quiet it's gotten. It's kind of cute being here, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way. It's kind of a very pure atmosphere here, Ray, last night and tonight. I mean, they love their Diamondbacks, and they, of course, have known baseball for years and years in spring training. And here is a tailor-made one. Whoa, but it's not. A bad Taylor. A sharp ground ball to Jay Bell, which had 2 written all over it. Instead, it has 0.
That ball came up on Jay, and he was actually in the process of swiveling his hips. Watch here as he starts to swivel there to try to change his feet. Womack waits and actually just beats it. Robin Ventura beats it. I thought maybe that he beats it. Yeah, no doubt. Hustling Robin Ventura, and right there, Jay, and trying to shift his feet to make the throw, I think took his eye off the ball as that ball jumped up right about waist high.
Well, that could be a major miscue. Not only is it an error to get one guy on, it could have been bases empty.
Well, I tell you, it's going to be major simply because of the fact that that's 2 outs there. That's a guaranteed double play. And every pitch after this that he throws, once the 3 outs are going to be put on the board, is more stress for Todd Stottylmyre. So just in that fact, that you're making your pitcher labor more, no matter what the outcome of this inning is.
Plus, here you go. You got a 3-1 lead. And a throw down by Stinnett. And there's one way to get it out back. Oh, Ventura was napping a little bit, went a step too far, and Stinnett just ripped one off. And again, a result of we've seen another attempt at a bunt not handled. Ray Ventura was trying to make sure he could get to third on.
That's exactly right. When you have a slow runner, I've been in that situation many times myself, almost picked off in the World Series because you try in there, you take the crow hop, you anticipate it, you take that little extra step and you're dead meat. But that's what happens when you don't have speed at second base. And that's something that a manager has to make up his mind. A perfect bunt may not even get you over there if you don't have speed at second.
Certainly no bunt got him nowhere. Womack, he blocked the second base very well for a guy that doesn't play short very much.
Well, that's a natural block there because you're coming in behind him. You're going to try to take the throw, just like Buck talked about, on the inside of the base there between the runner and the bag. So it's just almost a simultaneous block.
Inside the low to Cedeno, and here's the play again at second base that Womack made.
See, he's sitting there because he breaks in from shortstop and didn't make any difference. The hand was there, but rocket thrown there by Stinnett.
Great job by Stinnett. So Jay is off half of the hook. Won the countdown to Cedeno, swinging away and hit. Here's Jay, a chance to. He made the tag, and he completes this double play. He's totally off the hook. He had a bad Taylor, but then he put it back in, and you know what? The lapels were just right. 3-1 Diamondbacks. For the second time this game, the guy that's made the big play on defense is leading off. Bottom of the 4th inning, Kelly Stinnett will lead off for Arizona, who leads at 3-1 here in Game 2 of the National League Division Series. And Stinnett hits one a long way to center field. Back goes Hamilton. Oh, Darryl Hamilton robs him of extra bases. What a grab by Hammy, about 405 feet away in left center, the deepest part of the park. It's deeper than straightaway center field. And a nice round of applause here by the Arizona fans.
What enables him to make this play is balls hit by right-handers will tail back towards center field if they're pulled. This ball had a little bit of tail on it. The ball hits in his glove, bounces out to the web. What a great play by Darryl Hamilton there, just turning, running to the spot there. Look at him, just going hard as he can, stretches, leaps. The ball hits in his glove, right in the palm of his glove, runs out there. That wall is a little soft. The bottom of it isn't. Look at Lenny Harris. My goodness.
And now Todd Stottylmyre up. Boy, he gets such a good jump. I mean, he's not the fastest. May not be as fast as Dunston, who we saw fly out there last night, but just gets such a good read. And for those that really haven't seen many games here at the Bob, if you're wondering, well, wait a minute, there's grass, then there's warning track, then there's grass, then there's the wall. A little bit different here. So that guys can go hard. That was part of the thing that they show off. They built this. That guys can go hard knowing that they have about 4 or 5 feet of grass left after the warning track. It's just a different feel, and actually might be distracting to outfielders the first time they do it, but Hamilton was flat out.
Well, it may be distracting, but I think it's a great concept. You also see that there's grass behind that, so
right.
I mean, you see the grass, and then as he punches him out there on that big hook.
So 2 outs now, and the leadoff man Tony Womack up, and we've been seeing some great shots from up top. Our friends at the Snoopy 2, the MetLife Blimp, we thank them, teaming up with us for this bird's eye view of the game. Program began in '87. MetLife Blimp, Snoopy 1 and Snoopy 2 have flown over 700,000 miles to provide aerial coverage of sporting events in the United States and Canada. And 700,000 miles, how come they've never flown over my or your house? Well, they probably have, we just didn't see it. Thank them because the views tonight are just beautiful. Roof open. I can't believe it takes like 4 minutes to open up. 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
This is the first rectangular building that I've ever seen to house a ball field in. I was actually out here last year to do a personal appearance and drove by and didn't realize that this was a ballpark because it's rectangular and not like anything I've seen, but it certainly is beautiful in here.
Well, here's the roof, the rectangle roof. And then it looks, it just has a different look than anything else we have seen. It's unique, and fans are going to love coming here for years and years and years, especially with a ball club like this.
You mentioned the fans. You know, the fans are a big part of the attitude in which you play a ball game. And last night, once that home run was hit, I mean, everything in here just went totally dead, and rightfully so. But as you mentioned, as soon as they scored the first run, the Mets, everything in here got quiet again.
And even, Ray, after the 3-1 lead, okay, then the inning was over. They should have been still on the next inning, or so. I'm not trying to get on the fans. It's just different than a Northeast crowd. You know what Shea Stadium would have been like if their team took a 3-1 lead. They would have been yelling. There goes the bat past Rogers. But unfortunately, the ball went past the bat for Womack. 5 strikeouts for Rogers. The Diamondbacks lead at 3-1. Friday night, our countdown of the 50 greatest athletes continues. Magic Johnson changed the way the guard position was played forever. He'll be number 17. That's on at 10 o'clock Eastern, followed by at 10:30, number 16, Ted Williams. We're getting pretty big now, and we go Magic and Ted back-to-back on Friday night, so hope you can join us. Very quickly, Ray Ordonez behind 0-2 to Todd Stottylmyre. Ordonez, Rogers, and Henderson here in the 5th inning. And Stottylmyre blows him away. Strikeout number 4 for Todd Stottylmyre.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night. 3 straight fastballs, sets up on the outside part of the plate, threads the needle out there again. Todd looked like he's getting sharper to me with his control, especially with his fastball.
Routine grounder to short. Womack. Easily to Colburn, and Rogers is gone. And Ricky always takes his time getting in the box. After Rogers trots back to the dugout or walks back, Ricky will take extra time. This is called, oh, wait a minute, there's a rosin bag, and let me get that pint, the donut. Wait a minute, the sock is, let me just scuff my heels a little. He's not going to the plate in a New York minute. Shea Stadium will be jumping right for Game 3 and possibly Game 4. Hadn't been in the postseason in 11 years.
I was talking to Al Leiter last night. He was talking about some of the games they played there during the year. They didn't play there with a packed house.
Right. Well, you know what'll happen. It'll be loud enough that you won't notice the planes.
Yes, that is exactly true.
Friday night and Saturday afternoon, if they have it.
And as you say, from the opening ceremony until the last pitch, they never let up. And I still believe in '86, that was a big reason that those fans, they were so loud in that last inning when we were able to score those runs. Mookie got that ball by Buckner. Whether we believe it or not, they believe it.
The Mets have not won a playoff series since Mookie Wilson right there and Ray Knight were in the ballpark.
Yes, sir.
Is this an omen that you guys are together in this first round?
Yeah, very well may be.
Did you have to bring that up?
Oh, yeah. Hey, every chance I get.
Why not? Mookie and Ray together again. The Mets trying to move on to the postseason, but the Diamondbacks have other ideas, and Stottylmyre is high, trying to go a 1-2-3 inning.
Well, Ricky's had so much success against Stottylmyre because Stottylmyre has gone to the fastball. There it drops down, but here's in a perfect situation, 2-2, to go to that slider, which is his best pitch, and which is, I think, the most vulnerable pitch for Ricky.
Well, you remember this, Ray?
Oh, yeah. I want you to look how slim this number 22 is. Look how slim this guy is. Oh, man. I've gained about 20 pounds since then. You gained about 40.
Hey. My ex-partner, Ray Knight. You did look slim.
I was slim, man.
What are you saying now? If you were running that now, that
I might not have made it.
Dewey Evans had a shot at the plate?
Dewey Evans thrown me out.
After that plate blocking instruction by Buck, you know, we could have arranged that. At any rate, it's good to see you two guys together again. Ricky, a little looper. Colburn back. He's not going to get it. So Henderson, who did not get a hit but walked twice and scored twice last night, has 2 hits in this game. And he's stolen a base all 3 times in the series he's been aboard. With 2 out, do we just assume he runs? Or with the way Alfonso's swinging the bat, no?
I wouldn't assume it. I think that Alfonso swinging the bat well probably does not have any effect on what he's going to do. Ricky's the type of guy that gets over there and he runs when he feels like he's got to jump. I guarantee you Bobby's not going to put a hold on, because that's a big part of the Mets' game plan, is to run when they get a chance. But they also don't run foolishly.
Alfonso grounded to second, flew out to right. 25 years of age from St. Teresa, Venezuela. There goes Ricky. Breaking ball, forget it. 4 stolen bases. I mean, Stinnett was wide. Don't even do it.
Well, Buck shaking his head there. Now, there may have been a directive there. There's 5 directives that you give as a manager. You look at the great jump here. I mean, there's no chance. He can stand up on this. And the first is the hold, meaning that you come to your set, hold the ball. Second is you step off. Third, slide step. 4th, pitch out. And then the 5th is throw over. Buck has those choices on every pitch, and that's what you see when they touch their hat and nose, their ear, giving that sign to the catcher, and then catcher relaying it to the pitcher. Shaking his head there makes me believe that he made some type of directive, like a pitch out or a slide step, and they did not do it.
Stottylmyre thought that he gave a little extra look to.
That pitch is right down the middle. That pitch is right down the middle. I don't know what happened. That's just one of those deals where Wally Bell blinked. I mean, this ball's right down the middle. Catcher sets up away. That ball's right there. That ball just splits the middle. He may have called it high, but it was a backup breaking ball is what it was, a slider. Same pitch that he threw Ricky Henderson that he fought to right field. Not getting on top of that slider. Might get Buck in here to talk about that, because last couple of sliders I've seen have been real flat Frisbee-like.
Chop wide of third base.
Ray, the big thing about the slider with Stottylmyre, I think the at-bat that Well, we take a look at Ricky's lead here, and watch, he never stops his feet going, and Stottylmyre never stopped him, and as soon as Todd made his first move toward the plate, Ricky was off and running. And Buck Showalter, as you saw, was a little bit upset that they haven't at least thrown over there a little bit more on Ricky.
2-2 the count to Alfonso. The Mets trail at 3-1 here in the 5th. Henderson at second with 2 out. Foul back, we'll do it again.
Buck, what's your thought about the slider?
Well, I think Stottylmyre tried to come up with something in the Ricky Henderson at bat, and the pitch that he hit into right field was a hanging slider. He got his hand underneath it, and it was flat. And I think you're right. He needs to get his hand back on top and get a little more tilt on that slider. And I think he's grinding a little bit right now, trying to make sure he strands that run out there at second base. This is when you've got to relax and try to throw it a little easier, not a little harder. That was better there. You could see a little more tilt on the slider.
Yeah, that ball definitely had a little bit of north-south action there as opposed to just being flat. We're going to look at it again. Buck's talking about his hand over the top of the ball, not dropping down. There you see their hand right over the top of the ball, and as a result, getting good rotation and the ball going a little bit down. And that's what Buck talks about, getting more bite or more tilt. Getting your hand over the ball creates downward spin and not sideways spin with the hand laid off.
Matt Williams makes the throw across his body, makes that look so good over to Colburn. Alfonso is gone. He's over 3 tonight. Henderson stranded at second base. Heading to the bottom of the 5th, 3-1 D-backs. 30. Back at the bottom. 2-3-4 for the Diamondbacks here in the 5th inning. Jay Bell, Luis Gonzalez, Matt Williams. 3-run third for Arizona. Wiped out a 1-0 lead by the Mets. Bases loaded walk to Greg Colburn with 2 out, and then a 2-run single by Steve Finley in a close play at the plate in which Williams scored. Okay, Bell looks at ball 2. And the Mets are in a different position here, Ray. If you look at Monday's game, Tuesday's game, Monday against Cincinnati, Tuesday's game here in Arizona, and now tonight. After the Diamondbacks got the 3 runs in the 3rd inning, and now the 4th, and now, of course, the Mets will end the 5th inning here behind these. The only 3 innings of these 3 games that the Mets have trailed, most of which they've led. 15 of the 23 innings they've led. They've been tied for 5, and now these 3 innings they've trailed. Bell with a sharp single to left field, and he leads off with an important leadoff base runner for Arizona. Now let's go back a little bit farther. The 3-game series the Mets had to win, which were really must-wins against Pittsburgh. 2 of them which were tight, 1 in extra innings, but yet, if you add that in, they trailed one of those games 1-0 for 3 innings, and now these 3 innings here. The point is, as much as the Mets' backs have been against the wall, 52 innings played from Friday to now, they've trailed for only 6. This is a new position for them. Not that they're not good enough to come back from 2 runs down, but it's a little different view. At what point do you press a little bit? Do you at all if you're them? Not the way they've gone, huh?
No, I don't think so. 2 runs is nothing to them. I mean, they certainly might start pressing here if Arizona puts a 2 or 3 spot on the board. But no matter what, they're going to go home 1-1, and they've got a victory coming out of here playing away regardless of what happens in this ballgame.
And if you're looking ahead, the best 2 pitchers they've had down the stretch, as we mentioned, Reed and Leiter, are going when Arizona's best 2 pitchers have already worked. And they're going to go with Dahl in game 3 and Brian Anderson, not Andy Bennis, in game 4. So on paper, advantage to the Mets in the pitching in New York. However, on paper, Randy Johnson against Masato Yoshi, advantage Arizona. That didn't work out. As somebody once said, Ray, that's why they play the games.
Yeah, Omar Dahl can pitch, Boomer. I'm not so sure that matchup right there does not. If it doesn't favor Arizona, it certainly is an even matchup with the way Rick Reed has pitched his last couple of outings. Certainly that 4.58 is not Rick Reed-like. Not that we've seen those last 3 outings where he's come up big. But a lot of hitters talk about Dahl being very difficult because of that tight slider, and he's got that real herky-jerky motion, 3/4, and the ball just moves everywhere. Well, he's not an easy draw for any hitter.
Gonzalez 2 for 3 last night and is 0 for 0 tonight. Walked and then was hit by pitch, so he's been aboard 4 times. 80 pitches already, huh?
Not too bad. You're talking through 5 innings. If you had 15 pitches, that would be 75. So he's just a little heavy with his pitch count. When I say 15 pitches,
a little action in the bullpen. We saw Doe tell earlier, and that's Pat getting closer to Mahomes. For you Grand Funk Railroad fans, Bobby was probably a Grand Funk Railroad fan. That's about the right era.
I did some research, Chris, about 5 or 6 years ago on starting pitchers in pitch count, because so much has gone as far as focus on pitch count. And so I started charting major league games and looking at the records and the earned run averages, and I came up with 15 pitches per inning per outing for those pitchers that had a 500 record or better and under a 4 earned run average. Now that changes a little bit when you're talking about a power pitcher like Randy Johnson. He'll throw 17, 18 pitches per inning. But generally 15 pitches is a good barometer.
They fooled him there. That was a frisbee that Gonzalez strikes out on. 5 Ks. 6 Ks now for Rogers. 12th year providing aerial TV coverage of sporting and special events. The MetLife blimp Snoopy 2 working with us tonight. And we thank the gentlemen. If there aren't ladies up there right now, I'm sure involved with all of the MetLife and the blimps. And that's it for Rogers. With Matt Williams coming up, the right-handed hitter. Rogers is tiring. They'll bring in the righty, Pat Mahomes. The wheels turn at the bottom. That's it for Kenny Rogers, removed with 1 out here in the 5th inning with his team trailing 3-1. And the new pitcher, has sparkled at times, Ray, for the Mets, Pat Mahomes.
Well, he really has. 29 years old. Pat Mahomes spent the last 2 years in AAA, starting pitcher for Minnesota, and struggled there. Went to Boston, struggled in the starting rotation. The Mets acquired him, and he actually went to Japan. And then he played in AAA earlier this year. Put him into the bullpen, and he's done a great job for him out of the bullpen.
Yeah, that ain't no.
Yeah, one of those guys that had a tough time as a starting pitcher getting around the lineup more than one time. So now he's in an ideal situation, middle to long relief, so he can face 5, 6, 7, 8 hitters for you. And right-handers just hitting 185 off of him.
Hands to diving Ordonez. Williams is aboard again. Bell making the turn, but with the ball right there in center field, he was going nowhere. So Matt Williams, who really struggled and kind of got a gift base hit his last time up with a little 50-footer, that was more Williams-like driven into center field. So he's 2 for 3 tonight.
Well, there's always tough matchups for a pitcher, and Matty Williams likes the ball hard. He likes the fastball. He can hit the slider, but he has a little trouble with a changeup or the slow curveball. Mahomes more of a fastball, curveball, slider type pitcher. Everything pretty much the same speed. Certainly more Matt Williams-like.
Greg Colburn doubled and walked. Made his presence felt tonight in the platooning with Buck Showalter. Breaking ball by Mahomes, misses ball 1.
The way that Buck Showalter put this lineup together with Colburn hitting after Williams, Cook is up in the bullpen, Finley, a left-hander, Gilkey, a right-hander with the left-handers on the bench, makes it pretty hard for Bobby to do anything to counter, because whatever he does to counter a move by Buck can come right back with Lenny Harris or Durazo from the left side.
Ball inside to Colburn. Fouls almost directly behind him. He was kind of getting around on it.
A little short on the right side of the plate with just Hanley Frias and Damian Miller, who's tender. Ward, switch hitter over there.
He is nudging in behind the base runner Bell a little bit, trying to deke him so that maybe he doesn't have an automatic score from second base on a single.
Another thing, too, about Colburn and Gilkey, both, they have been everyday players. And now that they're platooning here, they faced a lot of right-handed pitching, so it's not something that's foreign to them. Colburn playing every day in Miami, having a big year down there. Gilkey all those years with the Cardinals, and that big year in '95 with the Mets. Actually, '96, where he hit 30 home runs.
That's foul. We'll do it again. Bell back to second. Williams back to first.
Mahomes, when he was with Minnesota, was a straight four-seam fastball pitcher and a curveball. He had a big breaking curveball, pretty much 12-6 straight up and down north and south, and just didn't have a third pitch. Now he's developed a slider, a changeup with Dave Wallace. Tries to get ahead with a first pitch fastball and then get you out with spotted sliders and curveballs.
Very athletic player. As you see him jogged in from the bullpen, was runner-up Mr. Basketball in Texas. Steve Finley, the man that put the Diamondbacks into the lead with a two-run, two-out base hit in the third, is on deck. Which is inside just to finish up with Mahomes. Lindale, Texas. And you're right with the Twins, and that was a different sort of pitcher.
Situation 3-2 now going to be interesting. If Buck sends the runners here, as Matty Williams watches and sees what Jay Bell's going to do.
Not a lot of speed with Bell and Williams. He does not send him, and we'll do it again. I wouldn't think so with Finley up next. I mean, you do run your chance of getting one of them gunned down.
Yeah, and also it depends on what you feel about the pitcher-batter matchup. If you don't think Colburn is going to put the ball in play, you certainly don't run them. But what it does, it makes both of those infielders in the middle of the infield move. It makes the third baseman have to go to cover the bag at third base, so it creates a lot of holes. I like running here 3-2.
He did not the first time. He does not this time. And Colburn, who drove in a run with a bases loaded walk, looking for another base on balls, doesn't get it. Struck out looking. 2 down for Finley now.
Had to be looking for the breaking ball because this is just fastball right there.
Yep.
And that's one thing. Once you get to 2 strikes, you look for the fastball and adjust to the breaking ball, and Colburn just locks up on that inside pitch. Couldn't pull the trigger. Pretty good spot, too.
So here's Steve Finley. 2 ribbies tonight. 1 for 2. Finley already in his 11th season, but he doesn't slow down at all, does he, Ray? He had 7 multi-homer games this year, by the way, which only McGuire had more. He had 9. He and Barry Bonds had 7. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think that he would have as much as just about anybody else. He gets in a groove, he gets going. So
last year,
we're getting going. I'm sorry.
Last year in San Diego, he just hit 14 home runs and hit 249. A lot of people thought he'd slowed down after having 30 home runs and 28 home runs in '96 and '97. But everybody has a bad year every once in a while. Keeps himself in pristine shape. I'll tell you what, he knows how to play this game. Buck Showalter talked about perfectionist. Said that probably Steve Finley is as big a perfectionist as he's had in any ballpark.
Swinging at 3-0. The count now 3-1.
Meaning that he goes out, he works hard in spring training. He knows he's not going to be perfect, but he tries to practice it, prepare perfectly, so that when game time comes, he's as good as he can be. A lot of people go out and lollygag during practice and don't really give their best effort. And you'll never see that in Steve Finley. He's all business all the time.
Ripped to left center field. Bell will score easily. This goes all the way to the wall. Williams being arranged around third. The throw comes in. They won't even contest it. Finley delivers again. 5-1 Arizona. Rangers, it's two-run single games, both Ray with 2 out.
Fastball away. Steve Finley hit it perfectly. I mean, perfectly. Just driving that ball outside part of the plate. Didn't try to do too much with it. Didn't roll over the top of it. Extended those arms inside the baseball and drove it out there. What a sweet stroke that was.
Single and double for Finley and 4 RBIs and a fastball to Gilkey is up high for a ball. And Buck Martinez last night, 3 2/3 of 1-hit relief for the Mets. Not tonight.
Well, Pat Mahomes has been good down the stretch, but those 2 big hits for the Diamondbacks could be pivotal. Last night, Cook, Wendell, and Benitez shut down the Diamondbacks in a 4-4 game until the Alfonso home run in the 9th. So the bullpen has an opportunity to give the Mets offense a chance to get back in the game, but Mahomes has given up 2 big base hits here.
Breaking ball away to Gilkey, 2-1. Rogers was gone after 1 out here in the 5th. Holmes came in with a single to Williams, struck out Colburn, but then surrendered the double to Finley. And now gets Gilkey to sky it behind the plate. Piazza draws a beat on it, makes the catch. Steve Finley has given the Arizona Diamondbacks a big lead through 5. They're standing at the bob for the 5-1 Arizona. Back in Buck Showalter's home field, how many Major League games did Buck Showalter play? And that's our Aflac trivia question tonight. Major League games that Arizona Diamondbacks manager Buck Showalter played. You have a half inning at home to answer it. We're guessing up here, but we'll just keep it to ourselves. The heart of the order for the Mets now has to do some business. 5-7-1 for Arizona, 1-3-0 for the Mets. Chris Berman, Ray Knight, Buck Martinez with you. Glad you stayed up. This exciting game 2 of the National League Division Series. Braves did what they had to do at home, coming back, and what a gem by Millwood today. Oh, by the way, he was their all-star pitcher, not the big 3. A 1-hitter, the homer to Caminetti, that was it. So they came back to now make that a 1-1 series heading to Houston. Can the Diamondbacks, in exactly the same spot, home team losing game 1, can they come back and win game 2? Certainly have made their case thus far.
I think this is big innings right here for Stottylmyre. Anytime that your team puts up runs is so critical to come back and shut that opposition down and give them any chance to get back in the game that quickly.
Over to left field. But can't corn for Luis Gonzalez. 1 down here in the New York 6th.
So often you'll have a game or games where starting pitchers are out there. Their offense scores 2 runs in the first. They give up 3 in the second. Their offense comes back and scores 2 in the second. They give up 1. And you never get that feeling of momentum or that you have the game under control. Right now, this game is definitely under control of Arizona. And it's up to Stottylmyre to slam it.
Mike Piazza fouls off the first pitch. Singled in the first inning last night, Ray, but 0 for 6 with 3 Ks since.
And another thought, too, and this is really crucial. You're in the 6th inning, so you wade through the middle part of this lineup now. You only have to face them 1 more time, and you hope that's with your closer.
Hey, there's Randy. Hitting star last night. Would love to pitch game 5 here Sunday night if it goes that far. You know, 6 straight postseason losses don't sit too well with the big fella. He wants another shot here. I'll talk to him tonight a little bit. I was quick to point out that my shirt and tie didn't match. So he notices things like that. I told him I dressed off the top of the pile. It was the next shirt and the next tie available. So he seemed all right. He just wants another chance. Meanwhile, Stottylmyre has struck out Mike Piazza, who has now struck out 4 times in his 7 at-bats after his single in the first. Buck Martinez, Mike Piazza this series.
Having a tough time, and now against Stottylmyre, he's 5 for 21. Good sequence with the fastball inside. Makes another pitch with a slider, and then look at the glove of the catcher. He wants it upstairs, and Stottylmyre delivers with a 4-run cushion. He didn't waste 1 pitch to Piazza.
Starts Robin Ventura off with a strike. Ventura grounded a second, reached on a walk. We started to talk about it. The 15th postseason appearance for Todd Stottylmyre. 9th start. Last year, pitching for the Texas Rangers, pitched a gem at Yankee Stadium. Remember Game 2? Lost 2-0. Went the route. David Wells beat him in a 2-0 game in Game 2. Also in the division series, a game, Buck, you and I did in '96. Game 1, San Diego at St. Louis. A game won by the Cardinals 3-1. So in the division series, he's pitched beautifully. It's his LCSs in the World Series that statistically he has not done well. And he started one of the most humorous games that we can remember. He was a starting pitcher in the '93 World Series of Game 4. The one at Philadelphia won, what was that, 15-14 by the Blue Jays? Was that the score? He's pitched a couple innings, hurt himself running on the base pass, and had to wait around 6 hours to see who won that game. That was one of the more humorous ones ever. But he was replaced by Al Leiter in that game, by the way. That was got hurt hitting. But so he's made more postseason starts, Todd Stottylmyre, than Randy Johnson. You wouldn't think that, having pitched with Toronto and those other teams we mentioned. And he walks Ventura. Another note on Todd Stottylmyre is he has now become one of a few pitchers to start in the postseason for 4 different teams. Diamondbacks tonight, and before that the Rangers, the Cards, and the Jays, joining Doyle, Brandy Alexander, and Danny Jackson, just in case you wanted to know. So there's our Todd Stottylmyre half-inning report.
Well, this will be Todd's 100th pitch. And you're starting to get in the area where the most pitches he's thrown since he's been back off of the DL was 103. Buck talked about before the ball game that the Mets would dictate whether or not Todd Stottylmyre stayed in the game deep. Now you're starting to get to a pitch count where you're going to start scrutinizing everything that he does. The Mets have had at least one base runner in every inning tonight.
Just haven't done much with it, which they have done, of course, in all their games in October, in which they are 5-0. Ricky stolen 4 bases. Only 1 run to show. Jackson wants to get off the schneid. Now a little talk as pitching coach Mark Connor will go out to the mound with Stinnett and talk to Stottylmyre. Let's talk about Arizona's bullpen before you get to Manti. Really, well, there's Darren Holmes, a righty. We'll probably see Zeke, Greg Swindell up pretty quickly. Plesac is more a 1 or 2 out pitcher to lefties only. We saw Schwinnard last night, who obviously was crestfallen after the grand slam, but a lot of people question why was he in there against Alfonso, but he's a sinker ball pitcher that already gotten 1 out to play for Matt Williams.
He's also the guy that's done the best job for Buck down the stretch, and you have to go with that. And Buck himself, he's just not certain about that middle to short relief to get him to Olson and Manti. He feels good about Swindell, thinking Swindell can get 2 left-handers, a right-hander sandwich between left-handers. Plesac can get people out, but he doesn't feel real good about that 6th, 7th inning situation. He has Bennis down there now, and he said Bennis can give him 2 games into 5 games, and Bennis would be long, another guy that sinking and slider. So he has some choices.
Ripped by Darrell Hamilton. 1 hop, bobbled, thrown by Bell, but in time. So Ventura stranded, and we're heading to the bottom of the 6th with the Diamondbacks authoring a 5-1 lead. 5-1 Arizona, bottom of the 6th. How many major league games did Buck Showalter play in? Our Aflac trivia question answer: nada. Played in almost 800 minor league games after being the 5th round draft pick by the New York Yankees in 1977. Was an infielder, an outfielder, and a pitcher. Never made it to the big show until he managed the Yankees, and of course now managing the Diamondbacks. 2 different teams in the postseason. And Kelly Stinnett played a strong game here. Made a pick Ventura off second base, was robbed of extra bases by Darrell Hamilton, now has himself a base hit. Just one little note, the year Showalter was drafted in 1977, the first overall draft pick, 1977. Harold Baines still playing. Third overall pick, Paul Mauer, going to the Hall of Fame. No wonder it was tough for Buck to break in. My man Howie Discount Schwab on the case, feeding me some afternoon information, and we thank Howie for that.
Infield tight, bunt in order.
Stottylmyre pulls it back. He was 4 for 32 this year with 3 sacrifice bunts, Ray. A .213 lifetime hitter in and out of the National League. He's a good athlete, as you mentioned. His father, of course, pitched in the World Series 3 times for the 64 Yankees. Stottylmyre obviously watching tonight. The Yankees with the night off, pitching coach for Joe Flores. Watching his team with a 1-0 lead, getting in action again tomorrow night against the Rangers. Boy, everything moving there. Stinnett moving, bat moving, ball moving. Nothing ended up where it should have, Ray.
No, but I like that play. Stottylmyre making good contact generally. And I tell you, a lot like when Keith Hernandez was at first, you get a quick break from your third baseman. Olerud staying to respect the possibility of a hit and run over there to hold the runner close so that he doesn't get too big a jump so he can kill a shortstop or second baseman down there.
Very Tony Oliva-like. There's a pop bunt, which then they will let go, and what a smart play by the Mets. So 2 nights in a row, the Arizona pitchers do not do the job as far as running goes. What a smart play.
Yeah, and this is something that you talk about all the time with your pitchers. Anytime you pop a ball up, or your infielders or your outfielders, any player that you have, when you pop the ball up, you got to take off because that sets up that trap-type play. Stottylmyre popped the ball up, sits there and watches at it because he's upset. You don't even see him out of there yet. Finally, when it's on the ground, he starts running. That's a little too late.
Well, that's just heads up by Ventura, watching the ball and watching the batter's box.
Well, he really hadn't right. He had no choice. When you pop the ball up there and the runner stands in the batter's box, there's no way that he's going to beat the round-the-horn throw if you make a good throw to second base. The key there is that's very difficult to do on AstroTurf because the ball bounces, and oftentimes when it's bunted that high, will bounce high enough that the runner will be safe at second. But on natural grass, you can do that. Ventura playing most of his career on natural grass with the White Sox and the Mets. I guess all of his career.
So we said 2 nights in a row the pitchers, Randy, which we talked about, getting doubled off as thinking there were 2 outs instead of 1. And then Stottylmyre are both running themselves into double plays. Difference is Todd has the 5-1 lead.
Well, the key is not even worry about it now. That happens, and he's out there to pitch. He's got a 5-1 lead, 4-run cushion. So you just forget that and maybe talk about it a little bit tomorrow. But
Alfonso over to Olerud, and Tony Womack is gone. 7th inning stretch time for the Mets fans who are here in Arizona. Their team trails at 5-1. Where else could a night at the ballpark mean a night in the bubbler? If you're in right center field, and I guess they rent that thing out for what, $4,000 a night? You can bring 35 of your closest friends and watch the game from the pool. Well, she was here last night, the babe's daughter. The babe said about that. He probably would have enjoyed that, watching the game from the pool. He may have done that. At any rate, 7th inning here. Cedeno, Ordonez, Kenny Rogers, the pitcher's spot. So a pinch hitter for Mahomes. And then we shall see. Cedeno singled in the 2nd, rounded out the 2nd and the 4th. Chris Berman, Ray Knight, Buck Martinez. Hope you're enjoying our day-night doubleheader yesterday or day-night doubleheader today? As the division series hit the ground running. It's always a fun time of year for us, and I know for all baseball fans, and I know this game is late. It's exciting morning, afternoon, night. We're just happy to be able to bring you baseball. Struck him out. So that's a 6th strikeout for Todd Stottylmyre as we look at the new era in-game box for the Mets. Ricky has gotten 2 hits and stolen 2 bases and scored the Mets' lone run tonight. But look at the heart of the order, Ray. 0 for, well, if you look at 2, 3, 4, 5, 0 for 9. What a difference a night makes, huh? Bobby Bonilla has moved into the on-deck circles. This one will be out of play, so Bobby Bo, who had a big pinch hit in one of the Atlanta games when the Mets went in 1 game out. Had a big pinch hit. But has not been used too much by Bobby Valentine, but certainly he's... Well, this one's hit pretty well by Ordonez. Running to the corner is Luis Gonzalez, and it's off the wall. Ordonez into second base. They really didn't expect him to pull the ball like that. A long run for Gonzalez, who smacked it pretty hard.
A very tough play there. That ball right up against the chain link fence out there. Only part of the ballpark that is not padded, a hanging breaking ball. Ordonez hitting his first home run of the season about 2 weeks ago, but really gallant effort, about a ½ an inch short. The padded poles, but not the chain link fence, or actually a netting out there. See how that fence comes in there right in front of the bullpen, only probably about 25 feet as it goes into that funny little triangle out there.
Where's Bobby Bonilla, who against Stottylmyre a lifetime is a paltry 1 of 13, 0.77. But this is different now, where you figure, well, if he's up, Ray, with no one on and 2 outs, Bobby Bo can hit the long ball, and if he does make it 2 of 14, well, a long ball can turn this game into a different complexion right away. And there's the left-hander Dan Plesac, the right-hander Greg Olson. Both, along with Greg Swindell, have been closers for teams in their past. So it's an interesting makeup of setup guys who used to be closers.
We talk about the home run. Stottylmyre staying away from Bonilla, way away from him. 2 fastballs away, then another fastball off the plate away.
In the Mets bullpen, Octavio Dotel will get the call with Bonilla batting for the pitcher Mahomes. Octavio Dotel. That's courtesy of my son, Doug Vernon. He's not up right now watching this series plug. If he is, it's a school night. You know, we're going to talk about it. Oh, Stottylmyre thought he had it. So did the crowd. Tough one. So the Bucks. Tough one to take, Ray.
Well, he just sets this ball up outside, throws the ball right there. The ball moves a little bit off the plate. I think it's the right call, but it's one of those pitches you see right here, outside movement, reaches outside his shin guard there. Now, I don't know that Stottylmyre wasn't checking the swing of Bonilla. I saw him point to the third base umpire. Talking about supreme concentration. This guy has already gone farther than this ball game than I expected. I mean, he's up around 115 pitches. Mentioned an inning or so ago, 103, the most that he has thrown since he's come back from his stint on the DL.
Matt Williams, will he have room? Yes. Bonilla has fouled out to Williams. And they're 2 down here in the 7th.
And if Stottylmyre gets through this inning, he's done exactly what Buck Martinez needs. Buck Martinez, hey, my man, I need to hear from you down there. Buck Showalter needs for him to do, because you get to the point in that bullpen where Olson sets up for you, Manti closes, or Swindell will set up and Manti will close. Gets him past that 6th and 7th inning speed bump, which he doesn't feel real comfortable about.
Ricky Henderson 2 for 3. Trying to change around this stat. The Mets, who are 5 for 5 in October, tonight doing nothing with runners in scoring position and almost nothing with runners aboard. The only run they got was on a single. Third inning. Ground out by Oliver, I should say. Scored Ricky Henderson.
Boy, Stott throws Henderson an awful lot of fastballs. I'm guessing that's why Ricky's hitting about almost 400 now with the 2 hits tonight, lifetime against him. But a pretty clean line there. The 4 base on balls, he's not done those and have not hurt him at all. 118 pitches. And you see Mark Connor coming out to check on him, so you certainly don't want to take him past a point to where it's going to affect him for the rest of these playoffs, although he won't start another game in this playoff.
Well, with Mark Connor out on the mound, guys, the big thing about Stottylmyre's performance tonight, he's held the Mets to just 4 hits over 6 2/3, and the location and the fact that his velocity has maintained itself all throughout the first 6 2/3 innings is a testimony to the diligent work that Stottylmyre put in to get himself back into this rotation. His command has been outstanding all night long.
If you tuned in late, we're watching the exciting finish perhaps of the Red Sox-Indians game, or maybe the exciting finish of the bowling on ESPN before us. Todd Stottylmyre, 3/4 tear of his rotator cuff, said, forget it to surgery. I'm going to build up muscles around my rotator cuff and my legs so I don't have to rely on it so much, and I want to pitch. 34 years of age, my team's going hopefully at the time of the postseason. I want to contribute, and boys, he contributed tonight. So that's the other part of the story of all these pitches tonight and the gutsy performance and the 1 run on 4 hits here as he tries to get free of the 7th inning. Strike.
Look at him, 93 miles an hour. This is just sheer guts. That's his best fastball of the night. Just sheer guts right here.
And you know what? The crowd might sense this is his last pitch, and they want to send him off big time if he can dispose of Ricky Henderson.
It was probably going to be his last pitch if he doesn't dispose of him.
No.
Well, I mean, if he walks and base hit.
Catch on a technicality.
You got me on a technicality.
Ordonez at second with 2 outs. Steve Finley with 4 RBIs and Todd Stottylmyre with a gem thus far. Up top with a breaking ball, and Henderson is aboard. So now, as well as he's pitched.
That's it. That's got to be it.
Right?
Yep.
Edgardo Alfonzo homered last night in the first. Grand slam in the 9th to win it.
The only thing is you've got Olerud behind him. There's no problem with the batting order because your 2-hole hitter is up. But now, again, to go back to what Buck says.
Here comes Buck right now.
Yep.
So this should be a rousing applause for Todd Stottylmyre, who pitched his guts out tonight. And it is. Well done, young man. Well done. Can Alfonzo get the Mets in business?
ESPN's coverage of the divisional playoffs is brought to you by TGI Fridays, home of the Jack Daniels Grill, and by Isuzu. We don't make cars because life is too big for cars.
Nighttime in Phoenix as the Arizona Diamondbacks lead the Mets 5-1 here in the 7th, but not so fast. Todd Stottylmyre departs and pitch count of what, 122, Ray? What a gutsy performance.
Great performance.
And now Greg Olson, one-time closer for the Orioles, who in a 3-year span from 90 to 92 had 104 saves, but now he's a setup man. And boy, is it set up for the Mets. Their heavy-hitting second baseman, Edgardo Alfonso, at the plate with 2 on. And look at the start. The Mets have double stolen. Ordonez and Henderson, who just kind of goes along with his 5th stolen base. By the way, look at the jump, especially by Ordonez.
Well, you look how slow and long Olson's delivery is. And the advanced scouts have watched all prospective teams over the last couple of months, actually all year long. You know that Greg Olson is slow. He throws that big curveball about every other pitch.
So this allows just a single to make it a 5-3 game. By the way, for Ricky, his 5th stolen base, if you're wondering who's had the most in one series postseason ever, it's him. Remember the 89 A's in the ALCS against Toronto. That was just a 5-game series. He had 8. Lou Brock had 7 twice in the World Series for the Cardinals against Boston and against Detroit. So Ricky already has 5 stolen bases, but Olson ahead 0-2 here to Alfonso. Knew he was going nowhere near the plate.
Olson, Chris, pretty much a 2-pitch pitcher. Fastball, 4-seam fastball, and the big curveball. You mentioned closing for the Orioles, who's actually the closer for this ball club last year, 30 saves, and until Matt Manti was acquired, he already had rung up 14 saves, so he's been in those pressure situations many times, has lost 3 or 4 miles an hour off his fastball. He used to gas it up there about 95. High 4-seam fastball, belt high, and then drop that curveball right there on top of you.
Slow roller, Williams. Copeland. Olson does his job, and the 5-1 lead is intact. 7th inning stretch time in Arizona. 5-1 Diamondbacks. Chris Berman, Ray Knight, Buck Martinez with you back in downtown Phoenix. 7th inning stretch time here at the Diamondbacks, and this crowd of over 49,000 hoping to see the first ever postseason victory by the home squad. Octavio Dotel was in the pitch for the Mets. Youngster that came up to the minors middle of the season, and at time it was a blazer with an 8-3. It's either feast or famine. You could see when you work mostly as a starter, Ray, and you got 85 Ks and 85 in the 3rd. No question what he throws.
Well, he reminds a lot of people of Pedro Martinez with the way that he slings the ball. His fastball in the mid-90s, slider, changeup. You see his slider, he's 78 miles an hour, not quite as hard a slider as Pedro Martinez, but he does have the same arm action, the same quick movement with his left knee to get him started right there.
Fouled off by Jay Bell, 1-2.
And he came up and did a great job. The Mets were 10-4 games that he started, 8-3 record for Dotel. He didn't have a real good earned run average, 5.38, but that's back when the Mets were scoring about 7 runs a game. Just 23 years old out of Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic.
Bell hits it to left field. Back goes Ricky Henderson. Back he goes and makes the catch on the track. Bell's had a strong night at the plate with a home run bid there and has singled before twice tonight. Scored both times. Our new era box score tonight for the Arizona Diamondbacks. We told you about Bell's night. Matt Williams got off the schneid with a pair of base hits, and he also scored 2 runs. But the big star tonight, Steve Finley. A 2 2-out single in the third, a 2-out double in the fifth. 4 RBIs total, and that's why the Diamondbacks have the 5-1 lead. And you know, sometimes Ray and Buck Martinez, as we see Luis Gonzalez come in, you know, you get away with some mental errors. I mean, tonight the Diamondbacks have hardly played a perfect game. Jay Bell booted a double play ball, but then later atoned in turning a double play. Stottylmyre didn't run out the bunt attempt and ran himself into a double play. And then Olsen kind of got lazy, Buck. The first pitch, it's a good time for the Mets to steal, and they were wise to it. But they've gotten away with it tonight, Buck.
Well, Chris, it's concentration, and they can't continue to make mistakes. Last night, Randy Johnson forgot how many outs there were. Stottylmyre didn't run on the popped-up bunt. And then Olsen forgot about the base runners. You get a base hit right there, and all of a sudden it's a 2-run game. So they're going to have to eliminate these mental mistakes.
But it's nice to make him when you're up 5-1.
And there's reasons for that, Chris. You're in a situation you've never been in, or even if you've been in them, there's nothing like it. And you're concentrating so hard on your job. And in both cases, Stottylmyre, a pitcher, not running it out. A pitcher on second base, not holding on a fly ball. And they primarily do all their preparation in getting other people out. But that's why the teams like the Atlanta Braves have been so successful, because their pitchers do everything.
Swung through the fastball by Gonzalez, 3-2.
They've done some good things too. After the Jay Bell boot, the great I'll be there play on the bunted through ball by Cedeno that Stinnett threw. Great throw to peg Ventura at second base.
Gonzalez a walk, and here comes Matt Williams. 2 for 3, scored both times that he singled.
Time to get your emotions in check. You're playing here at home, first time for a playoff here in this city. First time for a lot of guys, although Jay Bell talked about maybe 10 guys on their ball club have had playoff experience.
Big hole between third and short for Matt Williams, but he goes the other way. And a long run for Cedeno, and too far because it's in the seats. So it didn't matter how far it was, but ball could have plunked down a little quicker. You certainly don't play Matty to hit it down the right field line, that's for sure. Well, both teams will fly tonight after the game, Ray, and that's always a classic. The old red eye from the West.
At least they fly charters up.
Yeah.
It's not that tough when they pick you up at the airport in a bus, drop you off right there on the tarmac at the foot of the plane, at the base of the plane. You walk up, they have your dinner ready. It's a tough life, man.
They get there about 8 in the morning. I mean, they don't have to change at O'Hare like we do.
Do what?
Change planes at O'Hare like midway through the flight.
Not hardly.
I did last week. That's always fun. That puts hair on your chest. Each team will get to New York about 8 o'clock in the morning. Have tomorrow off for the workout, I imagine, the afternoon at Chase Stadium, then Game 3 on Friday night. Avin holds up like this. Oh, a shot past Ventura. Gonzalez is safe at third, and Williams is in with a double. So he is woken up in a big way. A little chopper for a single, and then a sharp single, and now a double. So the big fella going for Arizona, and with runners at second and third, they have a chance to really open this up. Should Ventura have had that ball? I know it was a shot, but he had him play the line right.
Well, the ball's backhanded, the ball just laid down. I think Matty just knew it soon, but you're going to see right here, this ball hits, one hop there, he tries to go get it, didn't really react to it. He could have dove and knocked that ball down, but I don't think he saw that ball well. A lot of times on balls down and in, as you stride, it's difficult to see the bat barrel because the ball kind of disappears in there. Same way as an inside-out swing from a left-hander. I don't think Ventura saw that ball off the bat very well.
Well, the Mets playing the infield in with 1 out in a 5-1 game, and Greg Colburn has an RBI tonight on a bases-loaded walk up at the plate.
every once in a while, Chris, you get caught in between. Playing third base, you have to actually look out in front of home plate because every ball is hit to you from a right-handed batter. The bat barrel is way out front, so if you're looking back at the plate, then you're not going to see the ball well. You've got to be focused out in front of the plate.
Robin doesn't miss many. I mean, let's give him his due.
No, he doesn't. He's a great defensive player.
About the play he made tonight earlier, huh?
Yeah.
On Jay Bell in the first inning.
It just appeared to me, generally over there, it's just a quick reaction, short step, backhand, or a dive. And he had a little stutter step there as if he did not see that ball come off the plate. Come off the bat at the plate.
9 hits now for the Diamondbacks to only 4 for the Mets.
Infield. Bobby Valentine does a lot of things with his inner defense. He starts his infielders back about halfway. Here, you cannot afford another run to score here. So what they're doing is they're playing back. They're moving toward the plate to make sure that any ball hit in front of them, their momentum is taking them toward the plate. I really like this. A lot of guys just play right on the grass infield, cuts down their lateral movement, and also cuts down their ability to cover balls over their head.
Foul again. Guess who's on deck? The hitting star tonight for Arizona, 4 ribbies, Steve Finley. So barring a bizarre play, he certainly should come up with RISP. It's not a misspell of an Aretha Franklin song. It's runners in scoring position. RISPs. Good to have those RISPs. Bobby contests that. He's out to talk to the home plate umpire, Wally Bell, saying, "No, wait a minute. I know it hit his hand, but what do you think here? I mean, it's not going to be vehement, but what do you do here as this kid?"
This is a real tough call. If he's attempting to swing at the ball and the ball hits your hand and there's a swing, it's a swing. But if the ball hits you and you're attempting to get out of the way, then it doesn't matter if your hands are on the bat or not, then you go to first base uncontested. This is a very difficult play. It's a tough play to see. It's a tough play to, even as a manager, understand what the ruling is. But we're going to see right here, fastball. Sometimes they hit the knob of the bat. That ball looked like it hit the knob of the bat right there. Now he's shaking his hand as if the ball hit him, but that looked like, to me, it clearly hit the knob of the bat. I had that happen one time. I wanted to hit so bad I didn't shake my hand. My manager talked to me about it. Bases loaded, Vern Rapp in AAA. Ended up flying out, and he said if I'd have shook my hand and gone on down there, but I was too honest, man. I wanted to hit. I knew it was a foul ball. It hit the knob of my hand, not my bat.
Well, so you're saying that honesty is not the best policy, at least in this particular case. Well, here's Finley, who has driven in 4 runs tonight and has a chance to bust in some more.
Well, interesting thing here, Bobby, with a 4-1, 5-1 deficit, had nobody up in the bullpen. He just now got somebody up, and Dave Wallace is going out there now to bide some time, and he'll spend some time out there and be out there as long as the umpire will let him.
How about the way I love the facial expressions. I mean, Bobby went out to contest with Wally Bell. It was more like a well. It was so unconfrontational, but he probably. Are you sure you saw it? Are you really sure you saw it? Did he try to get out of the way? It was just an interesting facial expression on Bobby. And you can see the difference in the bullpen, Ray. They've just given up the 1 run they're charged with, but Rogers had the guys on before he left. How about Steve Finley tonight? 4 RBIs. His previous 18 postseason games, he only had 4 RBIs. Seemed low to me, but now that number is 8, a whole lot more respectable, and guess what? Chance to do some more. A little more room in the left center field gap as Hamilton has him shaded a couple of steps in the outfield to right field. 2-0.
He's locked in. He's locked in. You can see it right now. And one thing that gets you locked in is when you've already had success driving runners in that night. Now, everything is just gravy. You don't feel like, oh, man, I've got to do something here. He's already got 4 RBIs tacked up there. So he's confident and relaxed and dangerous.
Hey, he'll take an RBI on a base on balls.
You better believe it. I'll tell you what. He is locked in now. The right-handed batter on deck. I wouldn't be surprised.
Jerry Colangelo, the owner. Three and one now, the count. What's the pitch? Fast?
He got to come right at him.
3-2. He's battled back. Same thing.
Got to come right at him. Can't trick him. His best pitch is a fastball. And this is mano-mano right here.
Payoff pitch. Ball 4. 5 RBIs for Finley. 6-1 Arizona. And now it's Bernard Gilkey to bat with the bases loaded. Or we will have a pinch hitter. It's going to be Turner Ward to be announced as a pinch hitter. Bat from the left-hand side.
Well, Turner's a switch hitter, so it doesn't matter right here. Another guy that's paid his dues, boy. A battler, played there with Jimmy Leland in Pittsburgh. One of those guys that just can swing the bat, goes hard, never has really found a position.
Ray, he was out of baseball in the middle of this season. Is Dave Wallace going to make the move? Well, maybe they'll just talk. But it's released by Pittsburgh right after he rehabbed his right knee. He was out of baseball. And then signed by Arizona in the summer. Played 49 games. So here's a guy midway through the season. He's for sure watching on TV. And now here he is in the postseason. Well, you're right. As a switch hitter, I mean, the move to Franco doesn't make a difference as far as the strategy goes, but they're going to do it anyway. And John Franco, the man who, in the majors, waited the longest in his career to participate in the postseason, will have his first ever opportunity. 6-1 Diamondbacks here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Turner Ward, the pinch hitter, and that is brought on from the bullpen, John Franco, who pitched in 878 games before he's appeared in his first postseason game. Oddly enough, the Diamondbacks' Dan Plesac, second most among active pitchers who has not participated in the postseason. Here he is. So Franco doesn't have to surpass Lindy McDaniel for the all-time pitcher. And, of course, a long way to go as far as games played for Ernie Banks. But here's Franco, turned 39 on September 17th in his 16th season, Ray, and finally in the postseason. Was a member of the Reds when the Mets were making postseason in the 80s, then was traded for Randy Myers when the Reds started making the postseason and Franco became a Met. So he's waited a long time. He was so happy last night. He had that grin from ear to ear. Now he has a chance to do something about it, although he would wish he could come in without the bases loaded with his team down 6-1. He wishes it were another situation. Little chopper. And Alfonso has but one play to make. Ward tries to dive in to beat it. He doesn't, but it'll go as an RBI ground out. I mean, Franco did the job, but it was an AstroTurf type hop, and it's now 7-1 D-backs.
He makes a pitch, that changeup away. Turner just drills it off the plate. Only one play for Alfonso. This is just called damage control here, Chris, when you come in and bases loaded, 1 out. You'd like to get out of there with nobody scoring, but you just want to get outs.
So now he'll face Kelly Stinnett with runners still at second and third in a 7-1 game. Ventura bobbles, then throws. Stinnett is gone, but Arizona has hung another 2-spot on the Mets. New Yorkers run here in October. At least the perfect run may be running out. They got 2 innings with which to do something about it. Wheels turning a little bit here for the Diamondbacks with a 7-1 lead in the top of the 8th inning. Hanley Frias, for defensive purposes, has moved into shortstop, which will put Tony Womack, the starting shortstop, in right field. And the new pitcher is the left-hander. And you know a little bit, Ray. Greg Swindell.
Zeke. 14th year for Greg Swindell. After starting for 10 years, been regulated to the bullpen the last 4. Has done a tremendous job for this ball club here. 2.51 earned run average, appearing in 63 ball games. 64 innings, just 54 hits. Punched out 51 there.
And he gets John Olerud on a slow roller, and it'll be handled by Colburn himself. There is 1 out. If you're scoring at home, Frias is batting in the 9 hole in the pitcher slot, and Swindell, the pitcher, will bat in the 7 slot. The slot that Turner Ward just pinch hit. We know many of you do score at home, and we appreciate it. It's a good way to follow a ball game. Sports Center. I know it's a little past 2 o'clock Eastern, a little past 11 o'clock Pacific. Kenny Mayne, Stuart Scott, ready to rumble. An update on the Pedro Martinez injury. Unfortunate, certainly, with the Red Sox leading and Cleveland winning on the Fryman hit in the bottom of the 9th. Bubby back under center for the Broncos in their 0-4 sputter, now without TD. We'll have the latest on Mike Shanahan's moves, all the football, all the baseball. Reaction from Atlanta as the Braves giving it up behind the gym by Kevin Millwood. More, Ray and I'll have a little bit on this game. We'll have some reaction from Gary Miller. Some of the stars, certainly Steve Finley. It's coming up on SportsCenter when we're done here at the Bob. Mike Piazza, 4 strikeouts in his last 7 at-bats here against Arizona pitching. And he's behind 1-2.
I don't know that I've seen Mike this uncomfortable at the plate. Buck alluded to it before, how he's... Go ahead, bud.
No, I got a thought here, and I not that I'm any genius here. There's a little shooter that may get him going for the homestand at Shea. When you have flown from time zone to time zone and playing pressure-packed games, and you don't know what time it is, and you're 3 games in 3 cities, and oh, by the way, it's October, and oh, by the way, you're the catcher. I don't care how sturdy you are. I mean, it's got to affect him more than anyone else. I mean, he's just tired. Right? I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist figuring that out.
I can buy
I mean, he hasn't had a day off. Right?
I can buy that. And one thing, when your legs aren't underneath you, it always makes you lunge, and that's what he's doing. He's just going out after the ball, just way over aggressive.
Look at Ventura lay one down, and Matt Williams. Does he make this look easy or what? Looks like it's a day at the beach when he goes in on these plays.
Well, he's the best. You're talking about a man that's 6'3", 215, 220, coming in here with this kind of coordination, sets himself, look how he sets himself, gets his right foot planted to make the throw, never seems to rush, never seems to get out of order. Look how he sets himself, gets his right foot set, so that he's throwing off of his back foot and has some velocity on the throw and ever accurate. No wonder he's won that thing 4 times.
Oh, man.
It's going to be between he and Ventura for the 5th one this year.
And that was a great play by Ventura because, I mean, most players have no chance to make that play. Robin, who's played heads up tonight, missed the... It's interesting. He let that shot go under his glove by Williams. Okay, now I'm going to get you back. But Matty went up. Benny Akbayani will be the pinch hitter here for Darrell Hamilton. And you had a feeling, Benny, what did he strike out 3 times last night? in his start against Randy Johnson. I mean, you had a feeling that might happen as much as the Mets veterans hit him. But Agbayani has really become one of the favorite of Met fans.
Well, let me tell you a theory I have about him. Watch how his leg kick is so high, and you can't hit unless your foot gets back on the ground. He bombarded National League pitching early in the year because everybody threw him fastballs. Now, what happens when you've got that big a leg kick and that much movement on the lower part of your body? When you start throwing pitches soft, their foot gets down and their body goes forward, and then you have nothing left. So they figured Agbayani out pretty early and not throwing him a lot of fastballs.
I know it's late in New York, but where Agbayani's from, it's prime time. 8 o'clock in Honolulu, but they've seen the young man from the island of Oahu ground out to Hanley Frias. Bottom of the 8th here in Arizona. 7-1 Diamondbacks. Chris Berman, Ray Knight, Buck Martinez with you here in Phoenix past 11 o'clock Pacific time, past 2 o'clock in the East. Aloha in Honolulu, and our Clarendon game summary. And tell you what, it was the right medicine for Arizona tonight. Todd Stottylmyre provided it on the mound. Steve Finley with a pair of 2-out hits. 2-out single for 2 runs, 2-out double for 2 runs, and a bases loaded walk. The big fella got going, Matt Williams in the cleanup spot. Meanwhile, the 2, 3, 4 hitters for the Mets, 1 for 11. John Franco now begins the 9th inning. Roger Cedeno goes from right field to center field, and that's because Benny Agbayani, who pinch hit for the center fielder Hamilton, stays in the game in right field. This is Hanley Frias, winning the game shortstop defensively last half inning. Shouldn't be surprised at the way the Diamondbacks approach this, that not only Stottylmyre, but they went with a game plan at the plate, although it took them a little while to get going. I mean, this is a team that won 100 games. It wasn't going to roll over in their home park, Ray. I mean, it wasn't going to be, okay, it's October, the Mets, you're here, you're in. Steve Finley leading the charge with 5 RBIs. So maybe we're digging in for a 5-game little mini-series here between these two, Ray. What do you think? Well, and if that's the case, Randy would go Sunday night here, Game 5.
I wouldn't be surprised. These 2 pretty evenly matched ball clubs. I think the only real glaring difference to me is the Mets have such great inner defense. And maybe a little better bullpen when you think of Wendell and Benitez, Mahomes, Cook and Franco.
Frias strikes out. That'll bring up Tony Womack, who is now the right fielder. Buck, you talked about it before the game, and Ray, but Buck, you were down with the Diamondbacks, as were we, and they weren't worried before the game. Maybe just a little more dialed in, do you think?
Yeah, I think so, Chris. And the big thing about it is I talked to several of their players, and they went through some stretches this season where they lost some real tough games. And even though Randy Johnson got beat, the media around Phoenix was saying, oh, no, here we go. It's going to come to an end. The big unit got beat. The players never felt that way.
Fair ball. Olerud over to Franco, covering nicely. You know, this team, we told you about the together team they are, and I asked Matt Williams, with so many new guys coming in, how'd you get together so close so fast?
I don't know why it is, because we never really talked about it. But I know that we lead the league in fastest home run trots. I know we lead the league in leaving egos at the door. Because when we step in the clubhouse, they all get left at the door. Luis Gonzalez hits 350 all year, and he lays down sacrifice bunts. Jay Bell bunts on his own. He's got almost 40 homers. And nobody asked him to do that.
Everybody contributes, don't have to be the big names. Jay Bell bounces out to Ordonez. Very likable, very professional team, the Diamondbacks, who are 3 outs away from their first ever postseason win. Barring a huge 9th inning by the Mets, the Diamondbacks will leave in this series at 1 game apiece as we are 7-1 in the top of the 9th. Sean Dunston will be the pinch hitter for Roger Cedeno against Greg Swindell, and it starts off with strike 1. Sports Center with Kenny Mayne and Stuart Scott following the 9th inning here. And so we get set probably for 2 games in New York. Game 4 of which will be on ESPN Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And that'll be quite a scene at Shea Stadium. And Game 3, Rick Reed against Omar Dahl. Game 4, Al Leiter against Brian Anderson. And then Bobby will probably go back with his Game 1 starter, although we don't know that, Masato Yoshi, if we go 5 against Randy Johnson. Oral Hershiser is pretty much in the bullpen, although if he gets a gut feeling and Oral really doesn't pitch very much, he could pitch Oral in Game 5 against Randy Johnson if we go that far, though I don't think that's his plan.
I don't think so, not with Yoshi pitching as well as he did. I think his game plan has been to have Oral out there for long relief. You need him for a couple of ball games. And Yoshi wasn't extended that much last night, so you never know with Bobby, though.
Well, now this series is settling in. I mean, the Mets came in on an adrenaline rush. Sunday against Pittsburgh, the celebration. Monday night in Cincinnati. Tuesday night in Arizona. And all of a sudden, the Diamond Legs have gotten there. I don't know if they call them sea legs here living in Arizona, but they're, their playoff feet are wet. And now they look like the team that won 100 games. As Swindell strikes out Dunson, they'll bring up Ray Ordonez. A final thank you to the Snoopy 2 MetLife blimp tonight. Cruising at 1,200 feet. Helping us provide the great pictures this evening here from Bank One Ballpark, the Bob. Or I guess in the playoffs it's more formal. Do we have to call it the Robert? I don't know. Just a question. So maybe Game 5 back here, but now we know we'll go at least 4. Reminder that all 8 previous National League series, whoever has won division series, whoever's won the first game, has won the entire series. Now, that would mean history would be on the side of Houston and the Mets. The Braves and Arizona have come back, so maybe this is the year that perfect streak is.
That's one of those stats just begging to be corrected. That's what that is.
And I think we cannot underscore the job that Todd Stottylmyre has done, A, to get back on the field in August, and B, to deliver in a game like this. And Buck Martinez, you've known him well, you talked to him a lot. Guts and a little bit of pitching this evening for Mr. Stottylmyre.
Well, also the playoff experience, and even though his team was down and they needed a win, he went out there and pitched very effectively. And then Finley, of course, with the big RBI night. This is the full package. This is a big ball club.
Ordonez is gone. Swindell over to first baseman Colburn. And Todd avenging Andy Pratt, the pinch hitter, will be the final hope for the New York Mets, whose perfect run in October is very close to coming to a close. But we have ourselves some series here, boys and girls. Ray, we got a team that won 97 games, another team that's won 100 games. I don't think someone was going to run off and lead 2-0.
No, and I look at the Houston and the Braves series, the 2 series that we have covered, and I see really comparable. No outstanding team, or all outstanding teams, but no team that sets itself apart.
$49,328. Enjoying the view tonight in downtown Phoenix. Count is 1-1 to Todd Pratt. Buck Showalter is so quiet and different than Bobby Valentine, and I think the teams reflect the personality of their respective managers. And now 1 strike away from Arizona winning their first ever postseason game. Little history on tap tonight. Last night was Alfonso with the 5 RBIs. Tonight it's Steve Finley that's turned the tide. He should do it. And the Diamondbacks, as Bell squeezes it, have evened the series. 7-9-1 for Arizona, 1-5-0 for the New York Mets. 5 RBIs for Steve Finley, and the win for Todd Stottylmyre. Dig in, huh, Ray? Sports Center coming up next. Hope you enjoyed it here at the Bob. For Buck Martinez and Ray Knight, I'm Chris Berman. This National League Division Series is tied up at 1. Ricky ran, but the Mets could not run and hide from the effort of the Arizona Diamondbacks. 7-1, Arizona wins it here in the desert. We'll see you over the weekend. Now SportsCenter.